Yeah. What's going on? This is the fifth quarter show. You're live and direct with your co-host Jay. We got Young Chuck in the building, and Wood is joining us via Skype. What's up, Wood?
Nothing much, man. They got me on the road tonight, but I'm back in familiar territory, calling out of the great state of Michigan.
You on the road, huh? You're a road warrior.
This, yeah, whatever. Yeah, sure.
I got you, bro. Man, there's a lot of things going on, man, sports-wise, man. We got, March Madness in full effect. NBA, teams jockeying for positions for playoffs, NFL moves, boxing, entertainment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, man. So many things. So I guess we're going to start with one of the most important that's near and dear to a lot of college fans' heart. That's the NCAA hoops, man. How you feeling about that?
I'm excited for the tournament. I try to stay away from the outlets, the ESPNs and the radio and all of that stuff because I didn't want much of that to cloud my judgment on what I'm doing. I don't know about yourself, but I haven't been a bracket guy the last 2 or 3 years. But since we are running a bracket for the show, I am going to go ahead and fill one out. But I think it's going to be a competitive tournament. I mean, BYU and Ole Miss started off things really great, so I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I'm excited also, man, and I'm glad you plugged the bracket, man. Everybody, we got the bracket going on. We're gonna try to get this show up as soon as possible. But if not, we have a bracket going on. We have a lot of participation, a lot of fans and callers are actually signing up and joining the fifth quarter bracket. We're giving away gift certificates, T-shirts. Just having fun with it. So we're definitely excited about that. So we can just get into this college basketball thing. Let's start locally, man. What's going on? The UD Flyers, they got snubbed. I mean, they are in the tournament, man, but they're playing in the first four. How you feel about that?
That's kind of disturbing. I mean, on one side, how do you feel if you're Boise State because you're playing a team on their home court where they're undefeated for the season, right?
Yes, sir.
And really quickly, before we get started, I want to make, I don't know how soon we get this out, but people have until 12 p.m. tomorrow to get those brackets done. Like you said, the list of people, participants is growing. So jump in and have fun with this. It's free and you get something in return. But to jump back into it, I don't understand how a team drops, in over a week, you drop from possibly being Joe Lunardi and many of the experts had the Flyers going at as high as the 8th seed. You make it to the conference championship against VCU and you lose a thrilling game to them. And then we get the results and you come into it with an 11th seed, right?
Yes, sir.
So, one good thing is, they are playing at home. I don't think Dayton needed help selling out, the arena because we've been doing well with that locally for several years now. So, I don't know. I think Boise State is kind of getting hosed in this whole affair. What you think?
Yeah, man. I'm a Flyer diehard fan, man. And when I first saw it, I was just like shocked because, like you said, we try to stay away from ESPN and all the experts. But, Joe had us going in as an 8 or 9 seed, at the worst. And now we're playing in this first four game. And you know what's been going on with UD all year. They dismissed 2 of their key contributors. And, so they're playing kind of limited, only really running with 6 or 7 man rotation. And that's pretty tough on them. So the first thing that came to my mind when I saw them playing the first four, that meant, I guess, 3 games in 5 days, to get to the Sweet 16.
Right.
So that was kind of like I was disappointed in that. But when I really got to thinking about it, and I know maybe I shouldn't think this way, but if they would have been an 8 or 9 seed, they would have had to play, of course, 8 or 9. And then they would have had to go up against a number 1 seed, in the second round or whenever their next game was. I don't know how they do the rounds now, so it's complicated. But at any rate, I thought, with them playing Boise State, we both can agree they have no excuse. You know, they should be able to be victorious in that game. It's a home game, as you mentioned. Then you go up against a team like Providence, who I think they can be beat. If I'm not, if I'm not being too much of a homer. So I think if you can somehow, win this home game, and then you go up against and play Providence, and you only have to travel, 1 hour to Columbus. So, it's not like a huge, travel event. And then you play Providence and Columbus, and then let's see, we do what it do. Got Oklahoma on Sunday, and I think you have a great chance of winning that game also. So it's bad due to they don't have the depth that maybe, to rest some guys. But in all, I think it's a easier way for them to get to the Sweet 16. How you feel about that?
I agree. Like you alluded to it, moving on down the road, now, Boise State, this is a pair of 25 and 18. So, they got to beat this team. But being able to move right down the road to Columbus for that second game, as you mentioned, Providence, that's a winnable game. So I think it works out for them ultimately. They get into a regional with having to beat Nova to get out of there. Virginia's in there, Michigan State, Louisville. It's a bunch of teams that they can run with. Nobody really in that group, I don't think, really has any great bigs. I mean, if they ran into Harrell from Louisville, I don't know if they have anybody to mess around with him. But UVA them against UVA would be interesting because, UVA has a little more height, but they're kind of like, to me, I think their big man might be 6'9". They might have a 6'10" guy, but, they're not a giant team. So, I think they got a decent draw. Miller has to get the most out of his guys. That depth, as you mentioned, is not there, but they got that experience from last year. It's still dating against everybody because they did lose those guys, and, you're playing with a chip on your shoulder because you're shorthanded, and so you're still trying to, you probably ticked off at the guys who messed up, what you had set up, the goals that they set out at the beginning of the year. But let's get into one thing, man. You had to be a little upset with the fact that it looks like if UConn would have won their championship game, that Flyers could have been on the outside looking in, and that bothers me right there.
That's ridiculous, Wood. When I saw the playlist and the things we're going to discuss, and I had to research that a little bit more, and you are exactly right. If UConn would have actually won that game, UD would have been left at the tournament, and I'm like, how in the world are they the last at-large bid? I thought they'd done enough. You just mentioned they won 25 games. They came second in the A10, and also they played in the A10, tournament final. So I just don't understand why they're not getting that respect. We all celebrated and had a great last March 2014. They rolled all the way to the Elite Eight and was very competitive. But for them to not get any respect, when you see some of these other teams who were safely in the tournament, it's just shocking to me. And I really thought UD was past that. Because Miller has a great name as a coach, and he's a young and rising star, and I believe he's one of the finalists for the NCAA Wooden Coaching Award. So he has the name and notoriety, but his team isn't getting the respect I thought they would receive. So I just don't know, man. It just really shocks me, that UD, was that last team, hanging on, by a thin piece of thread. It's astonishing.
Yeah, I don't know what else they have to do. But like I said, it's dating against everybody because you're going in knowing that we're just starting out a game, from being in the NIT or that CIT. You know what I'm saying? You ought to go out there and try to really wreak some havoc on these teams.
I agree, man. Hey, if they're not awake and have playing with a chip on their shoulder, then shame on them, man. So I'm going to get away from the UD talk because we got so many great things to talk about. We have a great topic list. Final Four, man, it's kind of early, and I know you haven't done your brackets in the last couple of years, and we're both probably going to complete our bracket tonight or tomorrow morning, get it in before 12 o'clock. Like you said earlier, the brackets need to be in by 12. But if you had to give me a Final Four right now, kind of early, well, who would you go with? I know everybody's gonna go with Kentucky, but I don't. You don't have to give me all four of them, but give me one of your surprise teams, maybe a team that could reach the Final Four that nobody's really, shooting for.
I try to look into this, and I'm not really a fan of the big surprises this year. Some people are pretty hyped on Notre Dame. 29-5 is a great record. Maryland's a team with 27 wins. They get right out the box against Valparaiso with 28 wins. To be honest with you, Jay, man, I haven't seen a lot of Villanova. It seems like somebody could knock them off in that bracket unless they are just a true. Michigan State, I'm not really going to fall for them because they, had a couple of good games. That's a team that didn't really win 3 or 4 games in a row all year. I mean,
exactly.
local product Trice, and, he didn't really come out and do much in that championship game. And Dawson, I don't think Dawson can really give me 3 or 4 good focused games. And, I mean, he's playing for the end of his career right now. So it's a lot on those two guys right there. VA, the shooter came back. I think Anderson, I don't think his hand is right. I don't know, man. As a shocker, maybe Iowa State could do something. Final Four. Maybe I was listening to Steve Fisher on the radio the other day. Maybe San Diego State can upset Duke in that second round. But I mean, that's a 26-win team with those juniors and seniors on there. So maybe Coach Fisher can have a run.
Yeah, he definitely is a big time coach. Of course, he's been there before. Maybe he has it in him, man, because I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna go with you. I don't really see that Cinderella team making it to the Final Four this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm off, but I just don't really have a lot of faith in a lot of these teams. I'm gonna go with some of the big names. I'm gonna flip the script a little bit, and let me ask you this: if we had to go with one number 1 seed who gets knocked out early, who would you run with? Let's go on the reverse angle. What number 1 will probably lose early in the tournament?
Well, Villanova has Lafayette, so they probably get through. Duke has.
Maybe not the first round. Maybe who can actually lose their second game? Number 1 seed. Let's go with that one.
Oregon and Wisconsin is what I got my eye on.
Okay.
But I'm like I said, I still look at Fisher versus Coach K. That was Duke that beat Michigan back in the day, right? In Fisher's first run with the Fab Five, right?
Yep.
So maybe Fisher gets a little revenge. So I would say down in those 2 lower brackets, Oregon got a good shot to put out the Badgers, and I would say that the Aztecs could probably, if they could speed Duke up, maybe get Okafor in trouble. Maybe that's your 2 shockers right there. And Duke struggled to get out this first weekend the last few years.
Right. And I'm gonna go with Wisconsin, man. And I know we watched them play on Sunday in the Big Ten Championship. And I'm really not sold on Wisconsin. I was very high on Kaminsky earlier in the year, thought he was player of the year. And I'm not saying he's not the player of the year in college basketball, but I don't think his game is where it can be to lead a team all the way to, NCAA championship. I think if Oregon can play some good, solid defense and defend the 3, I think they have a great chance of, knocking Wisconsin off. I just really not sold because the reason why I'm really not high up on Wisconsin in any kind of neutral site. Now, if you play them at home, they're going to be tough to beat. You're going to have to grind them out and actually hit some big shots to beat them. But on a neutral site, I think if Oregon can keep the game close, I think if they can hit the boards pretty well, I think they can do some damage against Wisconsin in their second game. the reason why I say that because I was watching Michigan State, and I'm glad you mentioned those guys earlier. They're really not that impressive of a team to me. No, I mean with Michigan State. Michigan State and Wisconsin played. Yeah, Michigan State really they didn't do anything special in that game to actually. They should have won the game if they would have held the ball and not threw it away with 15 seconds left.
Right.
So they should have been their championship. But I just think Oregon is a better team than Michigan State. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel that Oregon is a better team than Michigan State, and I think if they can, watch some of that Tom Izzo film and scout them, meaning Wisconsin in their second game if they play, I think Oregon will have a great chance of upsetting that number 1 seed and not letting Wisconsin reach the Sweet 16.
Do you think the Badgers? I think Nigel Hayes is an X factor. Anytime he shows up, it's a bonus for them. But do you think they're too dedicated to running those full court sets? I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I like a point guard that can take over the game, break people down, and do all of that stuff. And I think with Jackson is really not that type of guy that does that. But right now, it seems like with the personnel that they have, Wisconsin is just married to that offense, for 35 seconds. And I don't think, I'm like you, on a neutral site, their shooters get shots off of the offense, but they don't really create that, and do it off the bounce. So I'm with you. I mean, I think Wisconsin is susceptible to a team that can really can play that type of ball. And that's what March Madness is all about. It's about speeding teams up. It's about getting them uncomfortable, getting them off that three-point line. And like you said, I think that's one team that with the game that you just mentioned, Michigan State gave them the game that they did. Kaminsky was, he came alive towards the end. But if Decker doesn't do well and some of those shooters that they have, I just feel like that, they could be taken out.
There it is. So that's what the fifth quarter is going with. We're going to go with Oregon possibly upsetting Wisconsin, and then also you had mentioned that San Diego State and Duke, because Duke's been having issues in the tournament recently. So that's where we're going with the fifth quarter. Moving along. So we always, have the 5 and 12 matchups. The 12 is always known to, do some damage against the number 5 seed. So if you had to pick a 12 and 5 as it stands right now, what 12 do you have upsetting a number 5 seed?
Well, SF Austin did a big thing, man. That's 29. That's 29 wins for a 12 seed team against Utah.
That's a lot of ball game right there.
That's a lot of times that clock reached zeros and you didn't lose.
You gotta know it. It ain't easy, is it?
Right. So but that's the sexy pick. I'm gonna say now I'm gonna give a disclaimer right here. When I fill out my brackets tomorrow, they're gonna be really what I really think tomorrow. So what I'm saying now is just for the show.
This is entertainment.
Right, this is only entertainment. I'm gonna rock with Wyoming as that 12 seed. Over
Wyoming.
I'm rocking with Wyoming over Northern Iowa. I'm looking at the matchup.
Okay. I got you. Hey, what they play ball in Wyoming?
I don't even know what their logo is. So
the Cowboys.
The Cowboys. I'm rolling with the Cowboys.
I think it's the Cowboys. I don't know. I think it is. I don't know.
I believe it's the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's the Cowboys. Man, I don't know, Wood. I can't go with Wyoming, man. Maybe in cornhole, but not in basketball. I'm going to go with, maybe Buffalo. I'm going to go with Buffalo, possibly upsetting West Virginia. West Virginia had a pretty good season. They started off very strong. Point guard play, Juwan Staten, but I think he's been kind of injured. They have some injuries. Buffalo, Mac plays good ball. The Mac teams, they play a lot of big-time games early in the year and play some good competition. So one thing for sure, they're not going to be scared playing West Virginia. I think if they can hit some shots early, this is a classic game where if the game is close in the end And, Buffalo is, getting West Virginia outside their offense, like, you have mentioned several times just a minute ago. If they can do that to West Virginia, they can beat West Virginia, and I think they can beat them by 7 or 8 points. I just think that, Buffalo and the MAC ball is not, it's not get the respect that it should, receive. I think if they can, hit some shots early and keep the game close, I'm going to go with Buffalo possibly upsetting West Virginia.
Yeah, I think Rex Ryan can get them boys. I'm just playing, man. That's the deal. Nah, man, I'm looking at
we sounding good, aren't we?
Right. Rex Ryan gonna make them quarters, have them in press coverage. They're gonna be all right.
There it is.
There it is. Wofford is interesting. Another team, 28 wins, man. I mean, you had to do something to get to 28 wins. So Portis down there for the Razorbacks. They got a tough game to open up with, but I'm going with them Cowboys, baby.
There it is, the Cowboys, and I'm gonna go with West Virginia being upset by Buffalo. All right, so moving along, NCAA hoops. I know there's some things going on with the at-large bids, and there's some possible disgruntled teams and some teams that feel that they were left out. So I just want to pose this to you, Wood, and see if this is possible. Do you think that we can put like a minimum requirement for like your at-large bids? And I'm not saying everybody is going to meet the minimum requirement, but maybe if you're in the top 30 in the RPI, if you have a strength of schedule at 40 or better, if you maybe just some minimum requirements so we can take out so much of the gray area. So we'll know like we want to make the minimum requirement high enough so like every team doesn't meet it, but we know off the rip it's going to be 20 at-large teams that automatically makes it, and then we can juggle the rest. I'm not sure, but I just think we need to take some of this power from the committee's hand because some of the decisions that they're making is just not justifiable.
Nah, man. One game that stuck out to me was I'm shocked that Indiana made it, and as a 10th seed.
Right.
That shocked me. There was another team in here, Oklahoma State. And I know Oklahoma State beat a couple of top 25 teams, like, right in a row. But you come in 18 and 13 and you have a 9th seed, watch them turn around and beat the Ducks. But, like I said, UD struggles to get in, and we got Oklahoma State at 18 and 13. I'm like you.
How?
I think they need to do that RPI or BPI, some of these different measurements that are important all throughout the year. Like you said, they need to push some of these people in so that it takes away the subjectivity and whatnot. And, yeah, man, not a lot of this bugs me. I'm shocked that some of the SEC teams, as many as them got in, because we don't even, that's not a conference we really respect. But overall, man, I think the conference is going to be interesting. I mean, the tournament is going to be interesting. And I'll just say, man, I'm excited to see the first team that comes out of nowhere and watch them take that transformation in their swagger and their players. They puff their chests out. And that's what I like to see, man, is when that David in the field, when they switch from being the hunted to the hunter. I love seeing that every year. I'm mad I can't take off tomorrow to watch it all get underway like I normally do.
Right.
But, duty calls. But, yeah, man, I'm not too upset with the field in general, honestly.
Yeah, man. I we got to do something, man. I don't know if it's the minimum requirement, So teams know what they need to do in the season to obtain those goals and becoming a, at-large bid. I'm so upset with UD not making it, and getting a higher seed and having to play in this first 4 game. But the thing about it is I feel good because it sounds like we're converting Mr. Wood over to being a Flyer fan. So, if I can go to one of these little thrift stores and dollar stores and find you one of them old school hats, I may get you one, man, because I think you coming on in. What you think?
A girl got on me, a female that we work with, who is in the pool. I'm plugging the pool again. She's already signed up. I'm interested to see who she's taking. I think she's a ringer. She just wouldn't tell me. But she got on me tonight. She got on me before I left out today because she questioned me on whether or not I had my she knew that last year when I went to Vegas for the tournament, I broke down and bought me a UD T-shirt, and she asked me before I left today, did I pack it? And I had to tell her, I said, the shirt really didn't match my sneakers. And so she got on me. I was in a rush last night, man. I mean, I'm only doing overnight, and my bag has like 8 outfits in it. So I just threw stuff in the bag, and I did not. And, after this, I'm going to go check out the game from a brew pub or a brew house next door. And it really would be nice to rock some UD gear. I know we want to move on, but last year when I was in Vegas for the tournament, it was cool. I was a popular guy in the sports book at Hard Rock. I was the man.
There it is, man. UD is where it's at, man. UD fans travel well. UD fans, have they follow their team, they support them. The team plays in front of sellout crowds each and every game. So you know how we feel about them Flyers, man. Anything else on the NCAA hoops before we move on?
No, I just want to say, like I said, my big thing is I want to see that look when that group of juniors and seniors on whichever one of these teams it is. I just love seeing that when they celebrate at the end and they start becoming the hunter. And
believe it.
Really quickly, you know what, man? Since we started off the fifth quarter show, I told you I'm refocusing on a lot of local stuff. So I am fully on board with the Flyers. Which I'm glad. And we can hit on this and move on to the next topic. But Boeheim, man, he's out of Syracuse in 3 years, man. And I think it's a shame, but I'm like beast mode when they got rid of Percy Harvin. They got to one of the best, man. And that, I hate to see that happen.
Right, man. And big shout out to Coach Boeheim and the Syracuse program. I know they have a few issues, but he's one of the pillars of NCAA basketball, and we hate to see him hate to see him leave us 3 years from now. So, just to think about, moving ahead, we got trying to get through some NBA talk, some NFL talk, and definitely some entertainment we got to touch. And we're going to take some callers also. So right now we're going to take a little break, if you guys don't mind, and we'll be back in a few.
Hey guys, this is Chuck here with the sports update. We had the Knicks in a pretty clutch performance, taking out the Spurs in overtime 104-100. The Clippers snapped a 2-game losing streak over the Hornets. In Blake Griffin's second game back, they held on to a 99-92 lead to win the game. Hampton, they beat Manhattan in one of the first 4 games. Downside to that is they advanced to play Kentucky. Ole Miss in the second game last night, 17 down at halftime. They rallied to score 62 points in the second half and beat BYU 94-90. Kevin Harvick won his second straight race at Phoenix this past weekend. And word is that Pete Rose has applied with the new commissioner of Major League Baseball for his reinstatement. So we'll see how that goes. Back to you guys.
All right, back from the break. So now we covered our NCAA, basketball. Let's talk a little bit about some more basketball, but let's move to the NBA. A lot of teams, like I said earlier, are trying to, position themselves for the playoffs. Injuries and who's playing well is impacting, teams in their position. So let's start off with a huge injury that just hit the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have Westbrook, who's playing on fire, and I'm almost on that boat, man, saying that Westbrook should be the MVP. But I'm not gonna talk about that right now, or we're not gonna talk about that right now. But they're waiting for Kevin Durant to come back from serious injury, and now Serge Ibaka, he's hurt. I think he's having a surgery. So how do you feel that impact of Serge's injury is going to affect the OKC Thunder?
I think I tweeted out earlier, when I heard of his knee soreness, his struggles with that, I tweeted out that, how much more of a load can Russ shoulder. Again, at the Fifth Quarter Show on Twitter. That's my thought is like, how much more can this man shoulder? And he's out for 6 weeks now. So, we'll be running into that opening round. Team chemistry is going to be impacted by that. And then he's a jump shooter anyway, so this is really messing up the first round meeting that we've been talking up the last several weeks. We wanted to see Golden State versus, so, they're messing up what was setting up to be great.
Yep.
Even if they make it in, I thought about this last week, and I'm going to pass it back to you. We've been breaking down sports first in the last couple of years with that Heisman going to some underclassmen, right?
Right.
So I'm going to lobby again. If Russ can carry these boys into that 8 or 7 slot, I'm saying we need to give an MVP to a team where a guy is really a measurement of that one player's impact on his team. You're talking about a guy averaging double with all the triple doubles, averaging 10 and 12 assists. He's passing the ball. He's making people better. Averaging mid-30s. Yeah, if they make it in, man, it's got to shift that. And I know Curry is doing great things in Golden State. Another injury there with Clay. He's about to miss 10 days, I think. Let me get back to your original question. I think it's going to hurt him, man. I think it's really going to hurt him.
Yeah, man. And think about it is, we have no issues with you lobbying for Mr. Westbrook and winning that MVP because he's on a tear, man. The things that he's doing offensively is just off the chart, but even defensively, man, he's literally getting inside his man's jersey and creating havoc. But moving on, Serge, it's going to be tough for them. And it really, Serge, I think he's been hurt in the playoffs or towards the playoffs the last couple years. He's always had a little injury bug or nick and bruise here and there. But I think it's really going to hurt them because, you got Kevin Durant coming back. I don't know when he's actually coming back specifically. But, he's coming back from an injury, and who knows how well he'll be, off that injury. And then they have a bunch of young bigs, but I don't think they're used to playing in those big-time games, night in and night out. And that's what comes with being a true professional and experience to know what it takes to, actually succeed at this level and win some games and the end of the season and when it gets towards playoff timing. So it's definitely going to affect Oklahoma City. But even, more that's going to affect them is that man in New Orleans, man. Lord have mercy. Anthony Davis, what is he down there doing, man? He's like taking the league over, isn't he?
Yeah, he came back from that last injury and really is just stepping it up. And as you mentioned that, great timing. Thanks for that assist. Actually, right now, we started today, OKC would be out of the playoffs, and we would have Anthony Davis and those boys going up against the Warriors. So now, this kind of is interesting because OKC drafts well, and this is kind of getting off the script a little bit, but we have some open room in our NBA segment. Oklahoma City, what if they make it into that lottery? They could possibly move KD. They could say we're going to run with Russ, and we don't have to pay KD, some big money. KD could possibly go back home, to the Wizards. But OKC with the top draft pick, that kind of, if, we want to put on our front office hats for a minute, that'd be interesting because they draft pretty well.
Oh, they do, man. If they can, like you said, get one of those high lottery picks and, let KD leave, because as good as KD is, he don't have that dog in him that I think he needs to have as being one of the top, 3 players in the NBA. So I think he's expendable. I'm not saying that he's going to be easy to replace, but I will say if you got a chance to get you a young gun that can actually, run with Russell Westbrook, who is showing that he's ready for superstardom. I mean, he's playing big time ball. He's carrying a load, and also I'm seeing him on the TV screen a lot. He has a lot of commercials, and people are marketing him real well. So he's going to that stratosphere of superstardom. But if OKC can actually, get them in the lottery and get a good draft pick and get a new coach, let's keep it real. They got to get rid of Brooks and get, one of those coaches that can, get the best out of some of that young talent that's already on the roster. I think they can, be right back in there and be formidable. I mean, right now they're struggling to make an 8th seed. So, I know they have some injuries, but it's not like they're world beaters, as it stands right now.
Yeah, and looking on the other side, again, playing some front office, it wouldn't be a bad idea if Miami went on and slipped out of this top 8 slot, in the East, because I'm looking at them with Hassan Whiteside, with him showing up and being a bright spot this year. It wouldn't be a bad thing for them to fall out and get up in that lottery, and get a chance to add them another player, and that might even help that organization as they look forward to moving forward without D Wade, being in the focal point of the offense.
Yeah, man, and the thing about you got your GM hat on right now. I'm thinking you must be a general manager for an NFL team, because you're talking about getting rid of some players, jockeying for position. That's strictly NFL ball right there, because all the movement that they have going on in NFL with players switching teams is off the chart. But that's down the road. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But, yeah, man, Miami definitely needs to, continue to get younger. They had the Chris Bosh, and it was good to see Chris Bosh get out there on the and approach the crowd and talk to him and have a press conference, see that he's doing, lift up the spirits of the city, organization, and the team, his teammates. So that was good with that. But Miami needs to start, planning for the future. Dwayne Wade is one of the true warriors of the NBA. But how much longer can he continue to play at a high level? Age will, take its toll. Not only age, just wear and tear, because, he's not the biggest guy, but he used to play in the paint a lot, going to the hole, no holds barred type player. So they need to start actually planning for the future. And, Coach Spoelstra took a lot of flack initially, when he was coaching the team, but he's actually a good coach, man. He's a great X and O guy. And the thing about Coach Spoelstra, what really impresses me, is every time they have a timeout, you always notice that he always gets an easy bucket for his team. So, out of a timeout. And that goes to show you that, he actually knows some X's and O's and knows how to adjust what the defense is doing to his team. So they have a good young coach in Coach Spoelstra. So, they get in that lottery and get another one of them young guns, and, they may be back in there, for making another run.
Right. Miami tends to turn things around pretty quickly, to be one of the newer franchises and already have as many championships as they do. And then you have Riley, making all the moves. I think as a coach, Spoelstra is kind of polarizing, whether or not he's good or bad. But like I said, Whiteside being in the middle, when you have a good big, and, you can begin, he's gotten up into the 20s and the mid-15s in his points. So, they could do some things with the right draft pick. I know we got one more topic to discuss, written topic. But I just want, like I said, I'm focusing on these, local issues. A couple weeks ago, we mentioned Mr. Adrian Payne, man. This is really, really quick, man. Since that trade to, Minnesota from Atlanta, I saw something from a source called Roto World the other night. He was the first rookie to get a 15-15 game this year.
Man, you've been researching, ain't you?
Man.
AP was the first rookie to do that. I saw that 15-15, and kudos for him. He's out there, like as we said, in weeks past, Kevin Garnett's out there now, possibly mentoring him and letting him know how to be, a true professional. And what's encouraging about the 15 and 15 is the second 15. You know, him down there banging, getting some boards, because he's somewhat kind of lackadaisical when it comes to hitting the boards and dominating the paint. I mean, the kid is, 6'10", jumps out the gym, and he's not a skinny kid. He has nice size on him, so he should definitely be more of a heavy impact in the paint. He's out there playing with, I guess, the Rookie of the Year. So there's no excuse for Minnesota not to make some huge noise down the road. They have the talent. They have some young talent. They just need to learn how to play together and put it all together.
Yeah, I mean, they got to continue. I don't know if KG hangs it up after this season or not. But like I told you, we talked last week, and I really kind of came to Minnesota and pain because you threw Utah up on the list last week. So I'm just talking about another bright spot that's not necessarily doing something meaningful right now. Minnesota, the only thing that I'm concerned about with them is that when you have all of these young players at one time, somebody's not going to get paid. Some of those chips will have to be moved out, and you have to bring some veterans in and some different pieces. But, here's another team that's, they're looking at having a lot of balls, in a couple of weeks. They'll have a lot of balls in that machine again.
Believe it, balls everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Right now they're 14 and 52, Minnesota.
Right.
So yeah, the balls will be bubbling for them. So maybe they can do something. Real quick, Utah 6-game winning streak. They're still doing their thing. 9-1 in their last 10 games. Check for them, man. Maybe not this year, but next year. Moving forward,
you gonna get a Jazz jersey? Or you gonna leave that alone?
I'm gonna leave that one alone, man. It probably won't fit me right. You know what I mean? But anyway, how about we got some big name players set to return. We got Dwight Howard, down in Houston, H-Town, setting to return. We got the Houston right now sitting at the number 4 seed. What do you think his impact will be?
I think, I think his conditioning will obviously be an issue, but he's not a jump shooter. He can get you 10 or 12 points just on hustle and, positioning. He's got the height. He's always been a pretty strong guy. As long as things aren't going to run through him. It's still going to run through Harden. Like I said last week, I like to see Harden move off of the ball and let Beverly do more and let Harden catch the ball in on that, let him get his jab steps in and set his step back jumper off. Let him set all off of that. Let him set that all up off of catching the ball on their offensive side of the court. I like to see that. I think that, I'm actually excited to see what Houston can do because, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm still harboring some bitter feelings over the whole Golden State Warrior thing. We talked about it ad nauseum, but I wouldn't mind if the Rockets took out Golden State.
Yeah, no problem at all with that, man. And the thing with Howard, I know he's injured, but what happened to Dwight Howard? I mean, remember when he was in Orlando? If not mistaken, didn't they go to the finals or Eastern Conference Finals at least?
Got him to the finals.
Yeah, and he was a great player, and not saying he's not a great player now, but him and was it Turkoglu and Lil Nelson, with the tattoos all on the team. Jameer. I mean, I thought, Jameer Nelson. I thought that Howard was on his way to superstardom, man. And I mean, I know he's Superman. He does the dunk contest and everything. But it just seems to me that, even when he was with Houston, this is his second or third year with Houston.
I think it's his third.
Yeah, and he's really not made that noise and had that impact that I thought he would, being down in Houston because, I mean, at one time, Dwight Howard was considered one of the top, 5 or at the, least 7 players in the NBA. And I don't know if it's injuries or what, but does he take the game serious enough? I don't know what it is, but I know a lot of the old school guys, Shaquille O'Neal is hard on him and saying he's not a real big man. But maybe, since they're veterans of the game and they've been there and they're the Warriors, maybe they know something about Dwight that we don't know.
I agree. Hold up, I'm having a little difficulties. Give me just a second. We experimenting tonight.
Yeah, so we're gonna let Wood get his stuff together, but whenever you do this, patch on in. But yeah, we want Houston to do good things, and we want who's the coach? Coach McHale?
Kevin.
Kevin McHale's the coach there, so they're a real solid franchise, but it just seems that like Dwight Howard can't take them over the top.
Well, we mentioned that he was coming over from being with Kobe.
Oh yeah.
And he had the back injury too,
Okay, there you go. You're enlightening me.
I just think he's coming out of some injury, but to your point, I think he got that effect of being with Kobe, and then coming over to this new situation, he had the back issues and the knee issues. So I don't think he's maximized his career per se, but he can turn it all around right now.
Yeah, he can, man. He can definitely turn it around, and he has Harden playing with him, who's playing out of his mind. He's in the MVP conversation. So, Dwight Howard, I know it's going to be some time for him to get his conditioning down. I know he's probably going to be restricted when it comes to his playing time. But, after he, try to get his lungs back together and, builds up his stamina, I think, if he focuses on, rebounding, impacting the game, defensively and blocking some shots and getting some easy buckets on the offensive end, I think he can be, a huge help for them because they're not doing too bad right now. Like I said, I think I went off that page. They're like at number 4, number 5 seed right now. So they'll be facing the Clippers, who I think is a huge disappointment, LA Clippers, but that's another subject. But I think they can actually, with a healthy Dwight Howard, can handle the Clippers, with them being at home. And I think that, they can make some noise.
Right. I know we're getting ready to shut down the NBA segment, and I'm getting ready to kind of allude into one of our entertainment discussions for the night. But you being as long as I've known you for the last decade plus, you've been a huge and avid Tupac fan. I just want to ask you as we move away from the NBA. When I heard the commercial, when I saw the Adidas commercial with Tupac's voice, I was kind of like shook.
Right.
And then as the commercial evolved or unfolded, and I see that D Rose is the subject of, is his commercial, I just wanted to know from you, man. I'm trying to get you off the script every week.
You are.
Did Tupac's voice matched up against, married with D Rose's personality? Last year he didn't want to come back and help his team, but he was participating in the walkthroughs, and his team was battling, I believe it was against Miami, and he didn't come back. Can Tupac really be matched up, be paired up with D Rose, and it's okay?
I tell you what, and you know how I feel about this because we talked about Rose with this latest injury and should he come back or not. Rose got to suck it up and play ball. You know what I'm saying? Because, one thing about the great Tupac Shakur, he was all about, giving his all, and not only helping himself and trying to better himself, but his people. Tupac was for the people, man. He came from the belly, from the gut, no matter what, man. And I know you like, God, y'all, calm down, Jay. It's just a little podcast. But anyway, I'm getting all emotional. But yeah, man. But, and I was thinking about that when I heard that with D Rose and Pac in the commercial. I'm like, did D Rose request that music? What is he doing with Pac? He don't deserve Pac. You know what I'm saying? Maybe D Rose when he's winning the MVP, but not right now. You got to be special to rock with that Pac. You know what I mean? But at any rate, to answer your question, I tell you what, if he can come back and get healthy and help his team this year, I'm cool with it. But if he want to, I don't know if I'm ready. I can't. I don't know if my body can take the pounding of a game. I ain't trying to hear. He don't need to listen to that Tupac. He need to be on that MC Brains.
Hey, nice impromptu right there. What I'm saying is, man, there's really only one dude. Like you said, the MVP roles, I can see it. But as for right now, the only dude that you could pair up with Tupac for me would be AI.
There it is, brother. You hit the nail on the head.
Then secondly, I would say from a different perspective was the outspoken Mr. Technical Foul himself, Rasheed Wallace.
Oh, yeah, Rasheed. I wonder what Rasheed is doing right about now. You know what I mean? Is he watching ball?
He was a strange bird, man. Ain't no telling.
Ain't no telling at all, man. Hey, man, anything else with the NBA, man, you want to talk about?
No, man, I threw my one alley-oop to you. My one alley-oop or live to you was the Tupac. That's probably the first Tupac reference of tonight, but it will be another.
No problem, man. You know how we feel about the Pac. He's, in my opinion, one of the best ever. You know, I'm not gonna say he's the best, but that's for another show. Moving right along, man. We got the NFL. We got some boxing entertainment. We got some calls coming in, so we're gonna try to get through everything. But let's go with the NFL, man. Everybody's, favorite sport to discuss and talk about. Had a lot of moves, man. A lot of moves with these players. What's the NFL coming to, Wood? You got great star players, productive players that are changing teams, at will. No problem at all for them to get cut or get traded to a new team. It's like the owners had a private meeting. Like, look, we're gonna keep these guys at a cap. We're not gonna let anybody make too much money. We're gonna pay them in the first year or two, and after that, we're gonna get rid of them. It's just, I don't know what the NFL is changing to, but you could follow your team and your favorite player for at least 7 to 10 years. But now it's like they're changing, and they're good players, they're productive players. So I don't know, but if we had to put a ranking on NFL moves so far, what would you think is your favorite? For any player or team or whatever it may be.
I'm gonna go with. And, we talked about one of their moves last week, and we weren't really critical of them, but we just talked about the size of the money, the financial commitment that they made. I think after all this dust settles, man, what Miami has done, and I'm going to hear it from a couple different angles, what Miami has done, I think, has really positioned them when you look at not only what they've done for themselves. I mean, they got rid of Wallace. They let Hardline go. They brought Steele over from the Saints. Who can get downfield, but probably does a little more. I'm gonna go out here and jump out on a limb. I'm gonna say maybe he has a little more routes on that route tree than that vertical stuff that Mike Wallace does every play. So you bring in someone that's cheaper. I heard his contract might only be about $600,000, still on that rookie deal. But you bring him in. Like you mentioned last week, Sue should elevate Wake's game and some of those other boys on defense. I think they might need to find him a nice one. If they can find them, your cat up in Jeremy, y'all's cat that y'all got up in Cincinnati last year from LSU.
Jeremy Hill.
Jeremy Hill. If they can find them a breakout dude like Jeremy Hill in this draft, I'm going to move to the other side of my argument. If you look at what the Bills have done with Rex moving over there, and then if you couple in the fact that that New England, you get rid of your whole starting secondary, I mean, except for signing McCourty.
Exactly.
They lost Vereen, who had the double-digit catches in the Super Bowl. I'm just saying year after year, that team can't continue to just let people walk. They let Will Ford go, locker room guy, leadership. They let him go. I just think and we don't know what the hell the Jets are going to do outside of probably, they brought the band back with Pro Marty and my other guy, Revis. So I'm just saying, I think when you bring all that together, the AFC East should be more competitive, and maybe New England takes a step backwards, and these other teams make a tougher regular season, tougher conference schedule for New England, that maybe everything that happens, that all the moves that Miami did, maybe it propels them up into the wild card, or maybe they even challenge for the division.
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna run with you brought up a bunch of great points, but I'm just gonna run with what you said. I don't know if it was last show or the show before when you had that cooler run or that water cooler run or coffee run with one of our coworkers, and they told you, well, Wood, the first thing you had to do is try to be competitive in your division and win it. So in saying that, like you said then, Miami, the Jets, Buffalo, they're trying to compete. They're trying to get better. They're trying to position themselves to, be able to, be on the same playing field or close enough to, dethrone the New England Patriots. And New England has that, arrogant type of mentality. We can let this player go and we can just, replace him with a younger player, or we can still, keep playing the New England way and be successful. But some of the moves that they're making and letting people go, I don't know. Maybe they have some guys, guys on the bench that can come in and step up and play big minutes for them. But they have let a lot of players, go. So maybe they got some guys that do well for them moving forward. But I like Buffalo, man. I really believe in Buffalo. That was my team that, if I had to pick a team or a coach who can make an instant impact on a first-year team, a first-year coach, I went with Rex Ryan. And I just think that, some of the moves that they have made, and, with the running back, McCoy, he wasn't happy. Let's cash him out a little bit. Now he's happy. So he's going to come into camp, with something to prove. But I just think that, Miami, Buffalo, Jets, I like when teams make moves to try to get themselves better. And I don't know about, always getting rid of your best guys and letting them leave because you don't want to pay them. Because that's what it boils down to. It boils down to dollars and cents. These owners don't want to cut the check to some of these veteran guys who I feel have earned it and blood, sweat, and tears for your organization to get you to a certain point. But back to that AFC East, I think it's become very competitive, man, and I think that anything can happen. Hopefully, Miami can get over the hump because they have made a huge commitment to Sue. I read one stat about Sue that was just off the chart, man. They said that when Sue is in the game, and I don't know if I mentioned this already. If I did, my bad. But when he's in the game, over 50%, maybe 55% of the plays that he's in the game, he's disruptive. I'm like, damn. Excuse my language. That's like, how can you be disruptive out of every two plays? One of them, you're causing havoc. Goodness gracious. That dude is a monster on that D line. But man, I don't know, man. I know one thing for sure. Philbin, he better get it done, or he's gone, man. He has a lot of talent. He needs to get it done and get the most out of his players.
Yeah, this 2 years in a row now that, like I said, in 2 out of the last 3 years, they've been the biggest players in that free agency market. And Philbin's got to get some results. The only thing I'll say with New England, that's good to run out there until you got a pissed off Brandon Marshall lining up who's fighting for his, who wants to show you that last year was just a blip on the radar for him. It was an anomaly. They're going to have to put up with him. We'll see what Stills, how he continues to mature. I know he's not that physical guy. And then you got Watkins up there who's probably going to take some steps next year. He doesn't have the best people throwing him the ball, but, we'll see what happens. Just to keep current, man. One of your players, I just want to shout out some positive stuff. Steele's daughter, is it Devin Steele for the Bengals?
Yes, sir.
His daughter was, she's gotten the good news about being cancer-free, or, her fight is going in a positive direction right now.
Great.
I was kind of shocked to see the Cowboys sign Hardy. They had the legal issues last year with Carolina. That's another current issue or current event in the NFL. And then also, man, the weirdest thing, we talked about Frisco, the 49ers last week. What has Borland, what kind of precedent is he setting? Here's a rookie. His mentor in Patrick Willis steps away from the game. So, you would expect him to get more time or play a bigger role, assume a bigger role on that defense. And here's a 23-year-old guy who walks away, just in his second year.
Yeah, man. The thing about Borland, and I don't want to create any controversy on the show, man. And excuse me, but when I read about Borland, they're saying he retired from the game. But when we're only a 1 or 2 year player, are you actually retiring or do you just quit the game? It just seems that and maybe this is another discussion, man. But I know Larry Sanders in Milwaukee, and I'm talking about basketball. I don't know if you remember that.
Right.
He was a young guy, and the first thing the media said that, when he actually hung up his sneakers, he quit. He quit. He had some anxiety issues or whatever, some kind of disorder he was dealing with mentally. And the thing was he quit, basketball. But Borland, 1 or 2 year guy, and now he's saying he retired. Well, he didn't retire to me. I think he actually quit. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm saying it's great if he wants to do it for his health. But I think, some of them guys use football as a better means, to take care of their family. And, some of them, even earlier than that, high school, earn scholarships to get a college education, to be able to, better yourself and, make yourself better employable. But, I just don't like some of the terminology that some of the media puts on, a guy like Borland saying that he's retired. Now, with Patrick Willis is different because Patrick Willis, he's 7-8 year veteran. He has a serious injury. And, I understand, he's retiring. That's when you retire because he's NFL vested. He's going to get the pension. But with Borland, he's not getting any pension. So how can you consider that as a retirement and not actually quitting the game?
It was a guy, I think he might be on the media team for the 49ers, and he actually came out. I didn't catch his name. I think he might have been I believe he was a former player. He had the same argument, and he caught some fire for saying that Borland quit. But he kind of said he came back on the radio to kind of reiterate his position. And to your point, he just said that's not retiring. He was like, the man walked away from the game. He quit. That's just semantics to me. I'm just going to say that, I think he earned $1.6 million for his short time in the NFL. I'm just saying, if you have the ability to go do other things, he said he had other things that he wants to get into, that's fine. I would have a hard time with him if he tried to continue a career in football, whether it be he go back to Wisconsin and get on that coaching staff, or if he got into the high school game. I would have a hard time for him making money off of football if you walked away from football the way that you did. From what I understand, he really only had 2 concussions in high school. I'm just saying, to get past my little point on this, on this, I think it's interesting. I would wonder whether more players start to look at this stuff of the CTE and all that. I just wonder, moving forward, do different teams, do different players, what if you win a title in yourself? I mean, somebody like Russell Wilson, you win a title in 2 or 3 years. I mean, you get to year 5 or 6, I guess you could say, hey, man, I've been paid handsomely. I'm hanging it up. So I just, I thought it was an interesting thing, interesting development in the league, and we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, man, and like I said, no disrespect to Borland, no disrespect to Larry Sanders, or is that right, Larry Sanders, the Milwaukee kid basketball, and any Patrick Willis. I bigged him up last week or 2 weeks ago, but I just don't want people to think that, he didn't retire from the game, man. And like you said, I know you say tomato, I say tomato, whatever. But he actually left the game. He quit the game, and that's great for him, his family, and no disrespect towards him. Moving right along, man. NFL talk. Trying to get through this, get the boxing and entertainment's coming down the road. But NFL, man, this is near and dear to your heart, my brother. How in the world, and please school me, Wood, how can the Dallas Cowboys let Philadelphia Eagles get DeMarco Murray? Please explain that to me.
It's disgusting because here's the person that set the table for the rest of the organization, the other 54 guys. I think it's 55 guys on the team. But here's the guy that allowed everybody else to eat, and you gonna let him walk out the door over some money? And then you're gonna let him go to, your arch. Well, I guess the Giants, Philadelphia, and Dallas have kind of been the three-headed. It's been those three horses in that NFC East the last 10 years, except for that one 2012 season by my Redskins. I really don't understand how they try to, praise Jerry Jones for being smart and, being thoughtful economic, financially and whatnot. But I don't let that asset right there lead me like that. I'm sorry. That was ridiculous, and I would be upset if I was a Cowboys fan.
I know, man. I can't wait till we, get the phone lines open and the Cowboy fans call in, man, because I don't understand how in the world that the Cowboys have always put up big numbers, and we talked about this in the past. They've always had receivers catch a bunch of balls. I mean, Terrell Owens, maybe several years ago, went over there and led the NFL in touchdowns, with Romo. How do you let the Cowboys, get rid of their running back, who they've never really had any success lately until they had DeMarco Murray, like you said, setting the table, getting those 5 yards per carry type deal, controlling the clock, keeping the ball out of Romo's hands, making several mistakes and throwing interceptions. And he leaves. But, okay, he leaves. I understand that. We don't have the money to pay him. They had the money. But anyway, they didn't have the money. But to go to Philadelphia, a team that you have to knock heads with twice a year, I mean, that's a team that was really their biggest threat from, winning the division this year. And you let Philadelphia get better and not want to somehow keep DeMarco Murray in the fold. I mean, Romo, you got to restructure your contract. You got to do this, do that. Hey, man, I don't care what it is, but one thing for sure, if I know my enemy is, on the same level as me, there's no way I'm going to give him intel to, be better than me and take food out of my mouth. So I don't know, man. I just think that's a tough thing to take place, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it was. That's what, and I'm looking at that even in the AFC North. It's a lot of players that switch. To see Harrison get off, take off the black and gold and put on them stripes, and then to reverse that. And now, Revis going from New England back to New York in the same division. I really don't like that about the NFL. And, it was odd, for some reason, DeMarco, he reached out to Chip Kelly and said he liked what he was doing there. I don't know, man. It's disgusting to me. I will say there's some questions about whether or not DeMarco is the, whereas Shady could turn a 2-yard block, a 2-yard run into 30 yards or 20 yards in that system. There's some concerns that that's not really something that's built for, that system is not really built for the skill set of Murray. But I think he's going to be all right. I think those would be two very interesting games to watch next year. I'm sure one of them will pop up on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football. And, I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, man, and think about it, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about DeMarco Murray and this transaction is Philadelphia also picked up Matthews. So I'm thinking it'll help DeMarco Murray extend his career a little bit. He doesn't have to be that bell cow, carry the ball, so many times. That Chip Kelly's offense is, everybody touched the ball, so it's not like it's going to be one focal point running back or whoever carrying the ball 30, 35 times per game. So I think it'll help him extend his career. And Chip Kelly's going to get him in situations to be successful. I'm not saying he's going to break out those 60, 70-yard runs, but he's going to get the 20 and 30-yard runs. And then eventually, one thing about DeMarco Murray, if he has the blocking, he can be a clock killer, man. And that's something that Philadelphia has been missing, somebody to sit on the ball, when it gets towards the end of the game to, try to eat up some clock and be victorious in the end. So I just don't know. I think Philadelphia really improved themselves. I think that's one of the biggest moves in my book. Getting DeMarco Murray, getting Matthews, two-headed monster at the running back, where last year they just had Mr. McCoy, who was a beast. But now they have two guys to share the load. And then they got Sproles, too, Darren Sproles in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he still is in the fold.
Golly, Lord have mercy. Good luck to Dallas and the rest of the NFC East, but I think Philadelphia has got considerably better, man. Moving on with NFL talks. You got anything else about any teams, moving up, moving down? Any surprise movements with the NFL in general that possibly can impact the upcoming season?
I want to move on because this call's coming through. I can see right now on my end. So there's some people that want to get in. So I want to get through our other two segments before we get out of here. All I will say, man, is I'll be interested to see where Jennings goes as a wide receiver. I like to see what happens with him. Does he go to New England? Would my Redskins take a look at him? Hopefully he's not done. I enjoyed seeing a MAC player do well. It was kind of ugly how, over 2 years he had the rise, he had the commercials, and then, 2 years later, here the guy is being released. So I want to see what he does. And then speaking of his former team, I really like to see what Teddy H2O is going to do in Minnesota, because I think they've been making some pretty good moves too. And,
right.
With what happened in Detroit, they lost Sue and Fairley. I like to see what Minnesota does.
Gotcha, man. There it is. So we got some boxing coming up next. We got some entertainment coming up next. We got some callers coming up. The phone line is blowing up, guys. I'm telling you, man. We got callers calling in left and right. Fifth quarter doing big things, sports and entertainment. You know what I'm saying? We got my man Wood calling in via Skype. There's nothing shutting us down. We doing it, big things. We need to take a break. We're out for a little bit. Hold off.
Fifth quarter show.
Chuck here again with another update for you. Gonna stir up the rumor mill here a little bit. The Warriors owner has been quoted saying that he's going to be prepared to pay the luxury tax to keep the team together long term. Did a little research, and unloading David Lee and Andre Iguodala would free up $15.5 million and just under $23 million respectively, so they do have other options. The Bulls look to be on pace to be healthy for the playoffs, as they're currently missing Butler and Rose, so they could really use them to make a good push in the playoffs. Jim Boeheim has decided to retire here in about 3 years. His decision coming, I think, about 12 days after he was handed down a 9-game ACC suspension next season, forced to vacate of 108 wins, and was taken. 12 scholarships were taken away. It is bracket time, as Dayton's on right now, hoping for a hometown win right there. Kevin Ware makes his return to the tournament after his gruesome leg injury 2 years ago. He was quoted saying that he wished that he could play Louisville, but his Georgia State team will take on Baylor Thursday. And Devon Still and his daughter received a pretty optimistic prognosis that her body is disease-free, and of course that is good news for everyone.
All right, welcome back. We're glad to be back. Fifth quarter, had to take a break. We on fire right now. Microphones is hot. So we had to cool them off a little bit. Went through some NCAA hoops, NBA, NFL, good sports talk. Great day. March Madness, NFL moves, NBA playoffs coming. Now we go to boxing, man. Hey, what's going on with the boxing scene, Wood? Hit us up, man.
Boxing, that is my favorite thing. I want to really, Robert Morris pulled it out against North Florida, 81-77.
Okay.
And I know we're going to try to get through these last two segments and get into some calls because the Flyers will be taking in court here in about 5 minutes. So, really quickly, man, it was Spike TV premiere of their debut of the premier boxing champ series that they're going to be running. Berto came out, had a great showing against a tough Josecito Lopez. He KO'd him pretty early. I want to say it was the 5th round. Did you get a chance to check this card out at all? You can jump in,
Nah, man, I didn't see that. I'm listening. Hey, school me, my brother.
Okay, well, I'm going to try to run through this quickly because we got a lot of great entertainment stuff to hit on. And
we do, man. We do.
These calls. So, Berto was able, like I said, he was able to get Lopez out of there. I was concerned about Berto in the beginning because Lopez was moving well, landing some jabs, and was catching Berto. And Berto seemed to just stand right in front of Lopez, and he wouldn't, try to work in no angles and everything. He did try to start in the last couple of rounds. He did try to set up the uppercut a little bit, but he finally he just exploded on Lopez and got him out of there. I think it was 2 knockdowns. And on the second one, they went on and wrapped it up. They did wrap it up quickly, and I thought Lopez being, in that position, I thought he earned the right to really get counted out. From what I recall, when he got knocked down, it was maybe 10 seconds or 5 seconds after the first knockdown, but the referee didn't even bother to go into account. So I think, if we're going to have issues like that as we try to move into these other networks with these cards, to me, that was kind of a, no pun intended, but it was kind of a black eye for, this series. Also, Mr. Ohio's own Sean Showtime Porter, coming back from his first loss in his career versus Kell Brook, took him out last year. Porter got back in the winning streak. He beat a cat named Eric Bonet, not Eric Bonet, but Eric Bonet. From
Eric Bonet with no shoes on, Eric Bonet.
Right. No, he put down a cat named Bonet, who Bonet looked great early. I mean, he was landing some shots. He was catching Porter, kind of diving in. Porter's just at a disadvantage because of his height, man. And he has that thicker back, shorter arms. But, he did his typical ground and pound, real physical game. But he did get caught diving in a lot, and it kind of shocked me. It was noticeable to me. And Bonet was really I think he was ahead on the cards when the fight was stopped. But he had it looked like from some angles that before he got knocked down and knocked out, he had a leg issue, and it kind of happened as the first knockdown was happening. And then I think he was even limping around the ring after the fight was called. But Porter gets a win. We'll see where he goes next. I'd like to see Porter and Broner get it on.
Okay.
Battle for Ohio.
And let me ask you a question real quick, Wood. So, Berto had a big win. Porter had a big win. Out of the two boxers, who do you think is ready to take that next step to, get one of those big matches, maybe one of those big primetime matches on, HBO or Showtime?
I would think at this moment Porter probably has the brighter star because we already know what Berto's ceiling is. I think we're getting the idea of what Porter's ceiling is, but I think what would be great for the state of Ohio is if there is some talks of Khan and Broner getting it in. I think they were pushing for them to be on that May 2nd card, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I think a Battle of Ohio for Porter and Broner would be great locally or in this region.
Yeah, definitely, man. You know, get it on. And you think the fight should be in Cincinnati? 'Cause I thought you saw. Did you see Broner in Cincinnati fight before? Or who'd you go see in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I caught Broner down there at Nationwide Arena 2 times. And actually, Berto was on the second card. I think they could do it right there. I mean, I don't, why try to reinvent the wheel? I think the two cards that I saw there, that it was pretty good turnouts. Porter would be coming down from, I think he's in North Ohio, right? Northeast maybe.
Okay. Yep.
I think he's a Cleveland product. So, I'm just guessing out loud, man. They probably wouldn't do it. Porter did mention getting back after Brooke to try to get that revenge loss, or, to avenge that loss. We'll see what happens. I know Victor Ortiz had the nerve to tweet out something about whipping Berto again. I don't even think Berto should even waste his time entertaining that fight. I think Berto, if he can get in there with Keith Thurman, I don't think Thurman needs him. But if he could convince one of the named fighters to get in the ring with him, it would help extend Berto's career. Really quickly, Arreola was on that card. He had a rough 10 rounds with I forget the man's name. It might have been Harper, but it was not. It was how this Harper cat made it out of the first round was a miracle, because he was on skates for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. He was on skates from Arreola, but he battled back. They ended up giving the fight back to Arreola, but it probably signals that Arreola is, probably not going to make it back to the HBO Showtime level. Really quick, because I am trying to get through this. Kovalev, who just beat up, had a successful title defense against the alien, Bernard Hopkins. He fought Jean Pascal up in Canada, and he got an 8-round KO. I told you that was going to be easy work last week. So Kovalev was successful. We'll try to see who his next opponent is. Here's a guy with, great punching power. We'll see what happens as he moves forward. My last boxing note, man, was Dayton, Ohio's own. Speaking of, as UD gets ready to tip it off here, I saw him on Twitter and on Instagram that Dayton's, I don't know if he's a middleweight right now or 154, but Chris Pearson will be, he's been added to that May 2nd to the undercard on the Manny and Floyd, that big weekend. So I think that's a great, accomplishment for him, because he's going to be around for a historical night, right?
Oh, man, like we said last week, man, or two, we've been saying for a while, everybody wants to be a part of that night, whether you're watching it on pay-per-view, whether you're mustering up your money and getting out to Vegas. But to be able to fight on that card, Mr. Pearson is huge for him. He gets to show his skills and his talent in front of a very large audience, man. I mean, everybody's going to be fresh to death, had their best shoes on, looking good, feeling good. We're talking Ali and Frazier and Madison Square Garden type deal. Let's do it, Pearson. Bring it home for Dayton, man. Let's see what you got.
Frank Luke is gonna be out in the crowd ringside with the fur on.
You already know it. Gators, Versace shirts. Every beauty in the booty with some Coogee.
Right.
Was that Biggie?
Right.
I said it wrong though. My bad.
Well, we're not rappers, so you excuse. But yeah,
right.
I do think that's an awesome announcement and accomplishment for that young man. It's time for it's a chance for him to step out of the shadows. I don't know who his opponent is yet, but Dayton will be represented. The state of Ohio will be represented. So I'm just glad to see that that announcement.
Yeah, me too, man. Anything else for boxing, man?
No, man. I like to get into some other stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of fights picking up. on network TV. There's still ESPN. We'll get maybe, I'll definitely be tweeting out some stuff about it, some updates and whatnot. But, we can go on and shut it down on the boxing.
All right, man. Moving to some entertainment, man. So, like you've been, plugging the UD Flyers, and we're sitting up here watching them right now, about to tip off. They're playing tonight, first four, March Madness full effect, but also moving with the entertainment, man. I think it's the season finale of Empire tonight, right?
I think it just started about 15 minutes ago. 2 hours, right?
2 hour joint. So I'm talking to some people today. I'm like, yeah, the UD Flyers, they see me with my hat on. I'm at the store seeing some people that I know, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to watch UD play today. Like, what? UD? You ain't watching Cookie and Lucius? I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So they're telling me, like, you just, put me up on game. 2 hour show, big things, Empire. What you think, man? I mean, the momentum is there. They hot as fire. No show in history has ever increased their ratings week after week, and they're doing great numbers, man. So how you feel about the show? Are you gonna DVR the season finale, or what's going on with it?
Man, I cannot figure out how to work my DVR, so I'm gonna actually be able to watch it on demand, though.
Okay.
I probably won't get into it tonight, man. I'm going to support your Flyers, man, after I get off of here. I'm going to just say this. I don't want to run long with this because we got a lot of good entertainment talk. It's so ironic because the group that I'm traveling with today is 5 of us, and all from very diverse backgrounds. And I had dozed off for a minute, man, but I was really awake when somebody besides myself mentioned Empire.
What? Who?
Yeah.
What?
Empire came up on the way up. The 6 hours have up here.
Empire State Building or something?
Right. Exactly. So I was just. It kind of speaks to the how big the show is. And, the person that mentioned it, here, he's a hunter, avid hunter, outdoorsman and all that stuff. I mean, they were talking about, slaughtering, whatever, field dressing, what that stuff. I know nothing about it. So as the conversation swung around to Empire, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool, man. This show is really doing big things. And I think the guy actually mentioned that he had DVR'd it. So just to get into the discussion, man, I think it's great what the show's done. I think the music improved every week. I think Lucius is he's a ruthless cat.
Yeah.
Personally, I told you from the beginning, man, I wasn't a big fan of the IPO. The IPO storyline. I'm not going to beat a dead horse or belabor that point. But let me ask you, would you consider buying shares of So Def or Death Row or Def Jam or TDE? Would you consider buying some shares of any of that stuff?
Would I consider buying some shares of that stuff? Knowing me, probably not. I would not buy shares of it. I'll be the one who would be left out of the big payday because, of some old, I'm being a hater or stereotypical type deal where, I'm like, this stuff ain't going to, progress to make me anything profitable. So I probably would not. What about you?
Man, as bad as the music business is doing in general, I couldn't see it happening. But, I don't want to get all into that. Like I said, I shouldn't even brought it up. I thought the show has done well, man. I mean, I think for me, personally, I thought when they tried to chase throwing in too many different arcs, this past week they brought in a cat. You didn't know if he was Lola's father I think Olivia was the female that Jamal has supposed to have slept with, and he's a homosexual on the show. But, you know, he might have fathered this baby. I thought when they started reaching, it kind of lost me and went away from, you know, being more authentic. But, you know, it's bigger than me. So, I mean, it's cool. You know, I'm tuning in, and I'm going to check it out just because.
There it is, man. You know, with Empire, I've been doing some reading and some research, and I just want to get your feeling on this, man. So the network is just loving the show. You know, it's in huge demand. But the network is possibly asking the creators and the show, the leaders of the show, can we get 22 episodes? And I just read that today, and they want to make it a full-fledged, you know, like a series, you know, with 22 full episodes and whatnot. How do you feel about that, man? You know, do you stick with the original game plan, you know, your 10 to 12 episode type deal and just keep it moving? Keep the demand at its highest point and don't oversaturate, you know, a full run of 22 episodes, or do you go with the 22 episodes and let's get that real money, you know, when you got that many episodes, you know, maybe you get even more money as a actor or you know, being a part of the set. I don't know. Fill me in on that one.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I think the only program that's doing well with the 22 episodes is probably the Law and Orders of the world. I think it'd be a bad idea, man, because I just think with the success of The Wire, the Sopranos, what's the one on Showtime with Dexter? I just think in the series right around 12, 13, that's where it's at, man. I mean, who can tune in and be interested for almost half a year? We're too busy. We're too busy. It's too many sports outlets. We're watching sports. People are traveling. They have families. And like I said, they're already reaching for these different storylines. I mean, I don't want to do any spoilers, but we learned out that Lola wasn't Jamal's kid, and his damn daddy that went in there and knocked over the young babe. So I don't want it to get I'm trying to think of the word. What's the word, man, when they draw the faces and they're all overstated, they make fun of them? Start with a C. Can't believe it. Anyway, man, it'll come to me in a minute. But, I think you do, like you said, you oversaturated. I'm sure the actors would get, let me spin it. So we get more paychecks over the course of the season, but maybe instead of doing 5, 13 episode seasons, maybe we get shut down in our second season and it's a wrap for the series because we try to do 22 shows. Yeah, man, I agree with you, man. I had to, go strictly with your plan and your proposal. I'm not doing that many episodes, 22. Like you said, that's a whole, almost half a year. And another thing, Terrence Howard, who plays, Lucius, and Cookie, played by Miss Taraji P. Henson, they're good actors. They do big screen movies. So, I don't know if they want to be tied down to, doing a series like that. Not saying that Empire isn't very profitable for them, but I mean, they actually do movies on the big screen and they have huge careers and that right. And I'm hearing that there's a bidding war, for all the companies and sponsorship for the Empire World Tour, So, I mean, they're going to make huge money outside of the Empire season doing other things. So I think, like you just said it, man, the 12 to 13, knock it out, keep everybody, on the edge of their seats and want any more. But 22, not a good look at all, brother. Seibert just started off the game with a big drive and punched it in on the baseline. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, man, we watching it right now, man. The thing about it is, UD, man, I think they have no excuse. Boise State is going to be a tough matchup for them, but Oh man, that's not. Come on, you got to pull up a little better than that, But anyway, I'm sorry. Oh, we on live. But anyway, yeah, man. UD has no excuses for not winning tonight.
No, you can't. And then another thing, we can close out. I want to get other people. I hope some callers come in with some thoughts on the series. But I told you months ago, in the second week or third week when they revealed the ALS storyline, how are you going to stretch Lucius out to a 20? Come on, man. We done already shot all types of holes in this 22. I know it's good. I mean, I know it's profitable. I know when you see something successful, you want to run with it. But like you said, keep the supply limited and drive the demand up and cash out that way. 13 episodes will be better, in my opinion, on the DVD, in the DVD game. So I would steer away from that personally.
Yeah, me too, man. Just a little bit more on the show. Seeing one of the stars, is it how I'm pronouncing right? Jussie Smollett, is that right?
Jussie Smollett's Jamal. He plays Jamal.
Went on the Ellen show and revealed that he was, a gay individual. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think you should be able to be, I guess, true to yourself. I don't have any issues with him, being outspoken and being who he wants to be. That's that man. So it is what it is. How you feel about that?
I told you I thought it was interesting because I heard him on the Sway in the Morning program when their entertainment reporter sprung the question on him, and I really didn't like how she did it. I mean, maybe that was the skill in her, in her interviewing ability, but I thought she went into it like, I don't know, man. I thought she threw some jabs at him, the triple jab, and then I thought she counted away after she, like I said, maybe that was the skill in doing what she does for a living. But I think they didn't get an answer then, and I guess Jussie was actually back on Sway in the Morning for the finale this week, and I just overheard, I got out the car, but Sway was or Heather B maybe was mentioning that they were going to get after him because he wouldn't speak on it on their show, but I guess in some interview with Ellen, he came clean. I'm like you, man, and it kind of ties into another entertainment topic that we have, but it doesn't profit the Fifth Quarter show to really get into the celebrity reporting about off the field stuff. That's really not what we're gonna go into. Like you said, he had an opportunity to speak on it, and he revealed it, and we'll see. I don't think there's any fallout from it, so it just is what it is, man.
It sure is, man, and like I said, if you can come out and say that you're a heterosexual male or female or whatever you may be, I guess you can do the same thing as saying that you're a gay or lesbian. Whatever, man. It's no issues here. Moving right along, man. Entertainment news.
Let me say one quick thing. Now, I would like to know whether or not his sexuality was tied into him getting that role. I would like to know about that, just because, just being interesting. But it's also interesting because I believe P. Diddy or Albie Shore's son, I think he was actually approached to play Jamal when the show was first being put together. So, I mean,
okay.
Would that character have been a gay man? Because he sings. I forget his first name, but he's Albie Shore's son, but he was raised by Sean Combs.
Quincy? Yeah.
He was actually being courted to play Jamal, so I'm just wondering, once Jussie came into play, did they make that decision to go this direction with that character? So that's all, man. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Oh, no problem, man. That's good stuff. All right, man. Moving right along, man. Got some new music. Then hit the hit the forefront. To Pimp a Butterfly, Mr. Kendrick Lamar arrives early. I don't know, was it a leak? I don't know, was it planned? All these major artists now have some kind of scheme or some kind of game plan when it comes to releasing these albums. Trying to spark as much interest as possible. In saying that, man, how you feeling about this new Kendrick project, man? I know you showed me the album cover last week, and we thought we were at least 2 weeks away from the album actually releasing, but the album cover is fire, and just listen to some of the tracks, man. It's hot, man. It's some of that next stuff. I don't know. What you think?
Now, with me being out of pocket, I've been mad, crazy, busy at work, man. So we haven't really, there ain't been no water cooler talk with us. So I just need to know before, as I get into my take, have you purchased the album? Has, a family member got it? Have you heard it in its entirety?
All I've heard was I rode with my homie. We went around the corner. He rode me to the store. I heard 2 or 3 songs, man. He has it. He bought it, I guess on the internet or whatnot. It's some good stuff on there, man. And I'm going to be honest with you. I said Kendrick was boring last week. And the 3 songs I heard, nothing was really, radio friendly. Nothing was, I'm going to get out this car and do the Bankhead bounce. But, it's some thought provoking rap, man. It's just different, man. It's like, I sent something out to one of my people that I consider. I got you, and I consider 2 other guys that are really my musician feedback guys that I like to talk to about music because sometimes my views can be jaded. So I asked them. I said, does Kendrick really feel the way that he raps? Is he really genuine with this approach? Because if he is, man, the guy is definitely gonna be here to stay for a long time. And it, like I said, on the 3 tracks that I heard, man, it was just some music that really made you actually listen to, and it wasn't this real diabolical or nothing like kind of confuse you. It does not confuse you to understand his approach. It's just real rap, man. It's some of that D'Angelo type his latest album. It makes you think, man. I mean, I don't know. How are you feeling about it? I know you haven't heard it, but what are you thinking on the snippets you have heard?
No, my brother. I bought mine Monday before coming to work. I think was when it was released. I started seeing some activity on Twitter. I want to say...
Wood, you got it already? No, you don't.
Nah, bro. I don't know if it was Questlove. I follow him on Twitter or somebody. It may have been Raheem Devine. I don't know. But somebody said that it dropped and just had Kendrick. And, I immediately went to my phone and I saw it was on Amazon, for download. Because I'm thinking, March 24th was when I was expecting it. So I was conflicted. Because I only had like 4 minutes before I need to be in my car. And I was like, should I go on and download it? I don't want everybody to hear it before me. And I don't know if a hard copy is going to be in Target later on today. So I was conflicted, man. I went on and hit purchase and came to work with it that day. I think it was Monday. So to get into it quickly, man, I love the project. I told you I didn't buy Good Kid, Mad City. Not for no real reason. I just never got around to it. But in my opinion, man, I think this is it brings back the era when people put out albums and there was the album concept. And I really appreciate it, man. And for me, and, trying to be different, man, I think it's part America's Most Wanted by Q. I think it's part Midnight Marauder by Tribe Called Quest. I think it's part It Takes a Nation by Public Enemy. And I think it's part Aquemini by Outkast. And then I think it's part Voodoo. And then I think it's part Voodoo by D'Angelo, which you just mentioned. You're always stealing my thunder. But I think it's 1/5 or 1/5 of each of those albums. And then I think it's all directed by Spike Lee. So
okay,
I thought and I'm gonna wrap mine up. But I thought, I see Pharrell had a song on there. I really like another thing that is also sparking or spawning. I like the feel of the album, just how it sounds, because it feels like we could go back to the era when different crews, this being TDE, when different crews had individual sounds. And all this stuff is starting to overlap each other right now. And I just feel like with this album, it doesn't sound like nothing else that's out there. J. Cole's album had its sound, and it's good to see that regional difference again in the music. Also, I just say, man, with the stuff, he doesn't really blow me over lyrically, but it's great lyrics on there, but that wasn't his thing. But Kendrick really stepped into that area, man, where I put him where he's somebody that has something to say amongst the other 150 rappers who have to say something. And so I'm excited about it, man. I downloaded. I told you I hate it because I can't see who produced what. But I want to wrap up my thinking on it. Earlier in the in this show, I mentioned Tupac. The second reference is this, and maybe you go by it tomorrow if you hadn't heard this part. But did you hear the closing cut on there, Mortal Man? Did you get a chance to hear that one?
Nah, man, I'm not privy.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna spoil it for you a little bit, but it's a 12-minute song, man. And when at the end of the song, if you heard Sway in the Morning, he broke it down anyway and played it on his show, so it's out there. But at the end of his song, it goes into Kendrick speaking to Tupac Shakur. And it's an interview that they chopped up from something, and Kendrick is just chopping it up with Tupac about life and about being what you just mentioned. You were questioning about Kendrick and his authenticity, and that's what Kendrick was asking Tupac in here is like, are you really a fighter, or do you just fight when your back is against the wall? Man, I mean, I'm just going to say that it was so chilling or riveting to hear Tupac's voice. Because now we got these high-pitched, Young Thug and all that stuff, man. And, I mean, Tupac got a man's voice.
He do, don't he?
and just to hear this conversation, man, and for Kendrick to share his big moment with Tupac, you need to hear that tonight, man. If you can find a way to check it out, man. It's a big moment for hip hop, man. So I'm appreciating that he did it. I think it'll be commercially successful. Like I said, Pharrell had a joint on there. I think I saw some cat named Flying Lotus. I did get to check out some of the producers, but it's a great look for hip hop.
So, and saying that, man, and thank you for your breakdown, and thank you for dropping those jewels on us, man. You really explained it so eloquently, and really, if nobody really knew anything about Kendrick, I think they can listen to this piece and definitely appreciate, your words and the way you chopped it up and broke it down for us. So we appreciate that, brother. So I guess it's safe to say that this project exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, man. I mean, even from I coming out, and I was a little slow to get around to I because it was so different. I mean, the sample that they used, I just would never expect that Isley Brothers song to be sampled. So it was some genius in it, and I caught up to it eventually. But yeah, man, it's really not. It's really no flaws on the album, man. I mean, it's great to see. Oh, and I will say one thing. It was an article in the New York Times from some guy named Joe Coscarelli, I think. I would also advise people to go check out that article if you're a Kendrick fan. The last thing I mentioned, because we are running long. Kendrick just mentioned that, man, before this album, he went and got baptized, and he wanted to be baptized in water. And he really said, man, he's really using this album as his ministry, man. He's trying to do some very big stuff, man. That's why I said that the 5 albums that I ran down that it reminded me of, to put it in on the level and in the conversation with those projects right there. And I probably missed one or two. I don't know. You can argue with me on Twitter or call in once you get a chance. Once listeners get a chance to check it out. But it's a beautiful project, man. You saw it from the album cover.
Yeah, man. It was definitely some thought put into the album cover, and I guess it's nothing left to be said about the actual album itself and the way it's moving people and the response that it's getting. So big ups to Kendrick, big ups to the TDE family, and just big up for good music, man. I mean, you got the Kendrick Project, you got the Jasmine Sullivan, you got the Raheem Devon, you have what's the D'Angelo. Just big ups for good solid music, thought provoking music, and stuff that people like us can really appreciate. So that's a good look, man. I mean, it was like an overnight release, and what's going on with that? Is that like a ploy to drive consumers away from hard copies, or is there any more going to be the day where you have a release date of December 1st and the album actually drops on December 1st, or you got to have some kind of catch to it? What's up with that?
I don't think it's really a gimmick. I just think the market is moving so quick. Once you got a project wrapped up and they press it and all that, I just think, man, I just don't think it's feasible to sit back on it, with the streaming. Like I told you, I can't tell you the last time I listened to FM radio. So I don't know what the value is in really trying to roll it out there with the singles. There's no 106 in Park no more, so you don't have a direct, a one-stop shop for where it's going to be played continuously. So I just think it's a good thing. It moves the music to the listeners much more quicker. Waiting on Tuesday to come is no longer necessary. Like I said, I think, it's real time. It's real time living.
It is real time living. And the thing about it is, you just mentioned real time living. Is Damon Dash like living in the reality with some of his comments that he made at the Breakfast Club? Is he overlooking a few things? Dame was on the Breakfast Club recently, and he was explaining about being a boss and it's not, a good look to work for somebody else. And actually, if you have a boss or supervisor, it's like calling them your daddy, and kind of rubs some people the wrong way. I know the folks at the Breakfast Club, and I've never seen this, that much. They were very uncomfortable, all three of them. They were like, man, this has turned into the Damon Dash show, and they didn't really want to overstep their boundaries. Like, Damon Dash was going to put hands on them, and Damon Dash isn't a tough guy. You're at your show, you're on your platform. You should be able to say what you want to say, and Damon Dash was kind of chewing them up. But go ahead.
No, I was going to say, actually, Damon Dash said he was nice with the Knuckle Gang.
Oh, he did?
And I know, like I said, we didn't get to chop it up this week normally, man, but this was crazy because, my wife doesn't even like the Breakfast Club, but even she stopped when I was watching it. She just was like, what is he talking about? But, man, the discussion was very confrontational.
Yes.
And usually the heat comes from Charlamagne the Guy.
Right.
But this whole discussion, man, he was getting at DJ Envy, to me, who's not a harmless guy, but I mean, he's a respectful dude that just does his job.
Yep.
And for him to sit there and challenge Envy on, Envy was like, man, I put my kids through college, I buy shares of the company, I can pass something on to my sons. And, really, I don't want to belabor this item either, man, but I was just, Dame Dash came in there, he had cookies from his son's restaurant. He was like, my son has his own restaurant at 23 years old. Now, we don't know if his dad helped him open that up.
Right.
Me and you were struggling to get the fifth quarter show running right.
We tried.
And we both worked. So, I mean, I just felt like, man, it was a little reckless to challenge, you know, working men and women, you know, working people, to challenge them because they, you know, they're getting by the best that they can, and to sit here and say that I'd never worked for nobody. But me and you, we all go to lunch with a dude who's letting us listen to his new music in the break room, and he sounds like a young Jay-Z, where me and you can say, you know what, Jay, the hell with what we do, man. We getting ready to be this dude's manager, and we going all in with him.
Right, man. And the thing about Damon Dash, this guy has traveled all across, you know, the world, everywhere, been at all types of places, and for him to be so one-sided in his viewpoint and the thing that he was discussing with the Breakfast Club team, to me was just so ridiculous. I don't know if he was doing it just to get some followers on Twitter or Instagram or whatnot, man, but like I said, man, the whole team was uncomfortable, and I have never seen, I've seen the Breakfast Club get into it with Onyx. I've seen the Breakfast Club get into it with Kanye, right, and they would have at least a healthy back and forth banter. But with this Damon Dash piece, man, he just went overboard, had them all like, you know, really scared to say anything. And the thing about it was they had so many opportunities to really have a valid point against what he was saying. It just was like, I don't know, man, this was wasn't a good look for, you know, Damon Dash and what he was saying about a lot of working people and people, you know, being a boss and daddy and all that bull, because Rockefeller, you know, was a label. I know they had several employees. So I guess did he think all of the people that worked for him he was their daddy? I don't know, but at any rate, man, Damon Dash, man, get over yourself and you have to be a little bit more, you know, open-minded when you're discussing, you know, people that works for, you know, other individuals.
And I don't know if it was Angela Yee or maybe it was Charlamagne, but I think, or it might have been Envy, but, you know, because Damon Dash was like, well, are you a hero to your son? You know, because you work for somebody else. Are you really a hero to your son? He was like, yes, I am. And he's like, no, you're not. But one of the Breakfast Club team eventually got in, chimed in and said, well, Murder Mook works for you, right? So, I mean, and you know, and Murder Mook tried to speak on it. You know, I don't want to, we can talk about this later and whatnot because I want to get off of here. I will say, though, it was an adversarial conversation, but Dame did back it down when it was a misunderstanding that whether he called DJ Envy stupid or he said he was doing something stupid. He did back it down and say, you know, my apologies, man. I didn't mean it like that. If that's how it came out. You know, he did. It was a weird back and forth because it was heated, and it was like the Breakfast Club couldn't freely speak because if they really wanted to call him out on his madness, it could have really escalated into something. And I know DJs and hosts don't want to get into it with, you know, somebody's clique or crew that's in the building. So yeah, it was just very uncomfortable, man. But
yeah, and the last thing I'm gonna say about it, it looks like even he was Murder Mook and OG Adrian or OG, who was he? What was his name?
It was a dude on here. He said his name was Daniel. He was a long time Harlem, the street cat.
Murder Mook and OG Daniel. They felt like, I don't even know if they were co-signing Dame Speak, to be honest with you, man. So who knows what Dame was on that day? Anything else you have for that one?
Nah, man, we can move on, man. We can really blow through these last three things. You know, I just need 30 seconds apiece, really.
All right, man. So we got Lil Wayne throws mic at the DJ and walks to the stage after the DJ played the Coco version with the original rapper's vocals. Good look or bad look? And is he frustrated or just got some issues in general?
You know, 50 mentioned in the interview, he had a really in-depth or behind-the-scenes thought on the nature of Baby and Lil Wayne's financial situation. And it really made me think. I won't go into that. The DJ, like you said, he put on, Lil Wayne was getting ready to do his own thing over the Coco instrumental. The DJ played the version with the lyrics. He got mad. threw the mic at the DJ and then stormed off, man. I think in trying to be a professional myself and what we're this venture that we're on, I thought it was a bad look, man. It was a way, and as skilled and as much time as he's been in the game, there was a way to turn that situation into, you know, a high point of the performance.
Right, man. And like you said, you just mentioned the key word professional. Just like we talked about Damon Dash, Lil Wayne, he's been in the game since his young teenage years, man, and probably even before being a teenager. He knows better than that. He knows how to flip the script with, you know, maybe a DJ being a little bit sideways, or maybe a DJ just being harmless. He knows how to turn it into his favor. He has several followers and people adore his music. So for him to, you know, act out like that, it must be something, you know, going on with him mentally. So I definitely say that's a bad look.
I was at a show really quickly. I was at a Talib Kweli show, man, and it was a bunch of guys on the side of the stage talking, and they kind of spilled out onto his performance area. And he made a joke out of it. You know, he was like, he told he did abruptly break the song and told the DJ cut the beat, and he yelled at them cats and was like, man, respect my performance out here. I'm at work. You know, and he really challenged those guys, and I think some of them were just some local Columbus guys. They weren't all on his team. But, you know, he really checked them, and then he started the song. The DJ brought the song back. I think it was the Kweli, one of his bigger songs. I can't think of it.
Right.
But it was that big one for him, and he was like, hold up, and we're going to do this from the beginning. And I think, you know, it could have been something where you show power instead of walking off, you know, like he did.
I agree, man. Well said. NBC, Detroit-based, Undebatable, brand new comedy.
Undateable.
Oh, I'm sorry. Undateable. Oh, my goodness. It's getting late. Are you checking for it or not?
Obviously, you know, Detroit is at the fort. It's located in Detroit. I've been telling you for years, man. I'm a huge King of Queens fan, and I look for shows with diversity in the cast, and I'm giving it a shot, man. I'm giving it a shot.
Good. Yeah,
I try to introduce you to new shows and everything because I like running my mouth, you know, about this type of stuff. But it's two roommates, two different walks of life. One is a bar owner, the other, I don't even think they've even said where he works yet. But me and my wife, man, we sat there on demand and we watched about 8 episodes in one sitting.
There it is, man. Any guys that we know or ladies that we know that's big names or, you know, somebody we can recognize that's in the series?
There's one actress that I'm kind of fond of. You have to see who she is on Twitter. I think she's a pretty hot lady. But actually, Landon Donovan's wife is one of the castmates. I don't know her name off the top of my head, but she was on Rules of Engagement.
Okay.
Which was another show that I like. She's probably the only proven face. There's a brother on there who, you know, represents the African American you know, person, I guess, or character. And it's interesting how they're doing it, man. I mean, I'm gonna check it out. I saw I got a second season, so I'm gonna check it out.
There it is, man. Undateable. Am I doing it right now?
Right.
Undateable.
Undateable. I would say it's one to keep an eye on.
There it is. NBC, Detroit-based series, new comedy. Let's give it a chance. All right, man. Big movies came out this week. Run All Night with your guy, Mr. Action Man himself, Mr. G.I. Joe, Mr. I Can Fall from a Building 10 stories high and still live and do all this other stuff. Liam Neeson, brand new movie, Run All Night. Only opened up with $11 million, man. What's going on? Is there some kind of fatigue now with Neeson as an action guy, or people just had other things to do this weekend. Also, big shout out, Common was in the movie too.
Right, and that's why we kind of bring it up. Common coming off of the success of Selma. I haven't seen Selma yet, but I know he's kind of in his other role, Hell on Wheels. He's kind of been in these period pieces, period movies. So I just thought it was interesting, man, for him to play a hitman. I really liked him in Aces Wild. Was it Aces?
Yeah, man. Smoking Aces.
Smoking Aces, you're right. Thank you.
Yep.
I liked him in that role, and again, like I said, he comes in and he's some type of hitman, or he's the muscle for somebody, for Ed Harris, maybe. I think Neeson, man, I did see where he's getting ready to. He announced that in like 1 or 2 years he'll be retiring from the action roles. We'll see how that goes. I don't
right.
know. It's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. I think it was up against it was a animated movie, I think, that really dominated this past week. I just think Neeson, he's dropping quickly. It's all, this was based in, if it wasn't New York, it was an East Coast city. Walk Amongst the Tombstones was just based in New York, I believe. So I think it's just all running together, man. And I think he just needs to break it up a little bit. But, if you have Ed Harris and Neeson and Joe, man, he was on The Killing, on AMC, The Killing. But Common, I was going to check it out. I'm excited that Kinnaman, Joel Kinnaman, is played Liam Neeson's son. So I'm going to go check it out, man.
Yeah, man, we got to support, when we got these movies with Common in them, and, anybody that, we follow, whether it be in music, and then they go to the movie screen. We should check it out and give them some support, because that's the only way we're going to see them in future projects. So I'm gonna follow your lead and maybe not catch it on the expensive day, but maybe I'll go check it out, like I said, to one of those early movies where it's only $5, out by the Fairfield Mall. So I'll do the same.
Right. Hey, man, I actually enjoyed calling in tonight, man, and doing it from this Skype thing, man. It was, I thought it was one of the better looks for us. UD has let Boise State go on a little bit of a run. They're down 4 right now. I know you want to wrap this up so you can get into root them on, wholeheartedly and, full throttle. So, hey, man, I know I didn't talk enough. I would urge people to go check out the To Pimp a Butterfly. I think it's a real piece of art. I think it's going to challenge some guys to really, even somebody like Nas that should be trying to drop pretty soon. This is kind of waking people up. Even somebody like, for me, I've been waiting on Jay Electronica for 3 or 4 years now. This is really pushing that needle to, you should come correct.
Yeah, man, and we need somebody to, push the button, man. Hey, go in the lab, come up with a good concept, get you some good lyrics to support your concept, have some great production, because we need that, and make it happen. Whether it be you do it in 1 month or you do it in 1 year, just whatever it takes to have a solid project out with some meaning and not all this trap rap and all this shake your behind music. Let's do it, man. I'm all for it, brother.
I just want to see today in the middle, there's going to be some strange hour when you do come across that Mortal Man cut and you hear that conversation back and forth. I just want to hear that. And some people still texting me and stuff to get in the calls, man. So I don't have anything else to add, man. We can go right into that.
All right, man. Hey, man, thanks for taking out the time on your busy day. Like I said, fifth quarter show. You are fifth quarter show. It's 3 of us. We're a 3-headed monster. So we're just glad you were able to join us, man, and getting where you needed to be and settling down and bless us with those, those gems. So appreciate it, brother.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one. Stay up, Chuck.
Chuck here again for your final update of the night. NFL owners are set to propose a rule at the owners meeting coming up, allowing the replay system to be used in penalties and possibly even overturn penalties. NASCAR is at California this weekend. The NCAA tourney is underway with the first the round of 64 starting tomorrow at noon, so get your brackets in, everybody. Will Kentucky go undefeated? We will see. They got a pretty easy game starting off against Hampton. MLB's opening day just about 2 weeks away as teams begin to shape their lineups for the long haul. It's a pretty long season, so we'll see who can stand out this year. And some big news for ESPN and the PBC boxing. Friday Night Fights is coming to an end on May 22nd on ESPN2. They will air their final Friday Night Fights as the show will be moved to ESPN and replaced by the PBC. It's a 2-year deal, so we'll see how that works out for Al Heyman. Back over to you guys.
Welcome back, everyone. You're on with the Fifth Quarter Show. This is your co-host, Jay. Wood has left us. He was joining us via Skype. Thank you very much for Wood for joining in on us today. And also, right now, we're going to do the most important thing about the show, which is you, the listeners, taking your calls. We greatly appreciate your calls. So right now, we're going to go through our segment where we just take your calls. You guys call in, tell us what's on your mind, sports related, entertainment related, or just anything. We love the people, and we are just greatly appreciated when you guys, call in and bless us with some of your knowledge and some of your thoughts on, what you have going on. What's going on? You're on with the Fifth Quarter Show. Caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
This is T-Dub, the Cincinnati Bengal fan, calling from Jefferson, Dayton, Ohio. Trotwood, what's going on with it?
What's up, T Diggity? You all right, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Who they think they're gonna beat us, man? Who they? What they do?
Who they? What it's all about, there, brother. Hey, man. Thanks for calling in, man. We taking calls today. We appreciate you dearly for calling in. What's on your mind, man? Drop some jewels on me, man. What's going on in the sports world, entertainment, whatever? What's up?
I'm on this Pacquiao and Mayweather thing, man. I'm trying to go hard on him, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm going all 12 rounds with Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? Only because you know what I'm saying. He's underrated. Then not only that, he's physically fit and physically mindset. And I think it's going to be the upset of the year. That's what I'm going with.
Hey, man. Hey, and you know what? A lot of people are around with you, man. Pacquiao has been waiting for this fight for a very long time, man. And I think he's going to come in hungry. I think he's going to come in determined. And I think he's going to put on a show. I think it's going to be a great fight, man. This is a great night for boxing in particular. Whether you're actually at the fight or whether you're having a party or watching on pay-per-view, it's gonna be a great night for boxing, man. And I'm glad that those brothers, were able to put their differences aside and get in the ring and let their fists do the talking, man. So you going with Pacquiao? You think it's gonna be a knockout, or you think it's gonna be a grind out 12-round decision type fight?
It's gonna be a grind out 12-round decision fight because he's a brawler, and I think old boy gonna run like he always do. Try to skate away from him, and I think Pacquiao gonna catch him in the end. I think he's gonna catch him with something surprising. He got a nice little left jab he got, and that right hook is a bad boy. The uppercuts and the body shots is gonna hurt him even more. So I'm going with Pacquiao with the bruiser. You know what I'm saying? I'm going with the bruise.
There it is, man, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, Pac-Man is determined. Floyd gonna come to fight. Doesn't want to have any blemishes on his record. So it's just gonna be a great night for boxing, man. What else is on your mind? You was talking about that who they.
Yeah. I see we got AJ Hawk back in the house. You know what I'm saying? Centerville's on. You know what I mean? The Ohio Buckeye. You know what I'm saying? So he back at home, signed a nice little contract deal. We need him on the defense end to go ahead and do what he need to do, and stop the the opponents from scoring and getting back there and making some plays and being a playmaker. I can't wait to see what number he gonna represent, so I can go out and see what I can do about getting that jersey and so I can pin it on my back.
There it is, man. That's what I'm talking about. You know, true fan. You know, knowing the hometown guys, AJ Hawk, big up Centerville, you know, high school. It's glad to have him back in the fold, man. You know, last year, you know, I'm a Bengal fan too, so you know, T is my guy. Thanks for calling in. You know, we had some issues with the linebacker core, you know, with some injuries. Vic Vontaze Burfict was out, you know, a lot of the year. You had Raymond Luga, who spent some time out, and you know, we needed somebody to come in there and solidify the linebacker core. And I think if we experience any injuries, you know, this coming season, we can plug A.J. Hawk right in there. Or maybe A.J. Hawk, you know, takes over a starting position. Who knows? He's a proven veteran. He's a championship kind of player. He's a pro's pro. So I think it was a good pickup for the Bengals, man. Also, Michael Johnson is back in the fold. How you feel about that?
I'm loving that. Signing him to a nice little deal, you know what I'm saying? He's going to make some money and make some play. He's also a playmaker. You know what I'm saying? I like how he just plays his position. You know, ain't nobody out there better than that. So I think he's going to bring, you know, some ticket sales in there. And, you know, he's going to excite the crowd and make some nice plays. Like I said, make some nice plays. Make some stoppable plays. You know what I'm saying? So who they all the way, baby. Who they all the way.
There it is, man. I appreciate that, man. Hey, AT, anything else on your mind? You want to talk about anything else? Because you just blessed us with some boxing news, some football, and before, you know, we let you go, want to get all we can out of you today. We'd definitely love you to call back next week. But what? Anything else you want to, you know, rap about?
Yeah, I don't know what the score is with you know, down in you know, the UD game, but I'm wishing them a good win. If not, then, you know, everybody went out to support them. You know, we need them ticket sales, you know, to bring the revenue back into Gym City so we can see what's really going on. And then I don't know, man. I don't know about these Lakers, man. What's going on with them, man? Them Lakers, and then you got you know, I'm a fan of Cleveland too because I'm a LeBron fan. Shout out to, you know, my big boy Irvin, you know what I'm saying? Kyrie doing what he do, posting up and, you know, hitting them threes, you know what I'm saying? Doing the big 55, 57. That's what it was, 57. Hit the big 57 points. You know, he had a highlight game that night. And, you know, we doing some things. You know, Cavaliers is shaking it on up, making that revenue for Ohio. Ohio's just banging, man. Ohio put out the best, you know what I'm saying? We got the best put out, you know, up in the Midwest. We put them out. Basketball, football, track, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You think about it, we look at the headlines. Look where everybody coming from. You know what I'm saying? From the Midwest, baby. So this is a shout out to everybody from the Midwest, whoever grown the homegrown, you know what I'm saying? Do what they do and keep it real. 100.
There it is. Enough said, T. Hey, thanks for calling in. Like you said, Ohio is huge. We used to, you know, if you win Ohio, you win the election. President, you know, be the next president, and that's how we roll. Thanks for calling in, brother, and hope to hear from you in the future, man. Appreciate it.
That's what it do. 100.
Thanks.
Peace.
Caller, the Fifth Quarter Show. What's your name and where you calling from?
Al Freeman calling from Dayton, Ohio.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Freeman? How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm doing fine. Watching the little NCAA tournament action here tonight, and just calling in to we'll see what's going on with your show. How's it work?
Okay. So you watching the March Madness is in full effect, man. Yeah, right now we're just taking calls. Whatever's on your mind, any sports, entertainment, whatever you feel free and want to talk about, shoot, let's go. What you got for me?
What was the Cowboys thinking about going with whoever they're going with, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, and getting rid of DeMarco Murray, and then turning around and giving Greg Hardy the opportunity to make $13 million. That perplexes me. Can you shed some light?
The thing about that is, Mr. Freeman, what really bothered me about the move is with DeMarco Murray, the Cowboys have always put up big numbers, you know, and I spoke about this today. They put up big numbers offensively where Romo's had huge numbers, where they threw a bunch of touchdown passes to the receivers. And this goes back to, I believe, Romo throwing the ball to Terrell Owens. But they finally got a bell cow in Murray who can actually, you know, run the ball, sit on the clock and make the clock run and limit Romo from making all those mistakes, and they get rid of him. But to make it, you know, even worse, how do they let Murray go to a team that they have to play twice a year? How does that happen?
Right, exactly. Well, I think the other part of that is this. the NFL has consciously made an effort to devalue the running back position. Okay?
Yes,
they
sir.
feel like
yes.
they can go to the RTA bus depot and get a former bus driver to come and run the ball behind the offensive line. But this is
Right.
league-wide, where that position, as we know, has been dominated by brothers. Okay?
Yep.
And they've devalued the position, which brought the money down. It's about the economics of it. So the quarterback position has become the penultimate position. Okay? That's why you'll see a Romo, a Jake Locker, a Christian Ponder, do nothings, know nothings, make big money, but they want to let Geno Smith make a couple dollars, and every move he makes is denigrated and he's put down as a quarterback. So this is all part of the master plan, and we all know what the master plan is. But anyway, the Cowboys are saying, look, we got the all-world offensive line. We can go get Joe Blow and run the ball because we need to shore up our defense. So the Greg Hardy move, on one hand, is a good move because he is a legitimate defensive tackle with skills. However,
Right.
the off-the-field publicity, the baggage that he brings, all of those things are considerations. Now, the one thing they did do, everything is incentive-laden, which means we ain't guaranteeing you nothing because you liable to go out here and bust somebody in the head. You know?
Right.
So they said, look, what you make is what you make based on what you do. That's a good thing. I still found it problematic that they didn't want to pay Murray the money that he deserved. So he goes to the Eagles, Chip Kelly loading up. The Cowboys just took a step back in that division.
You're exactly right, and you're right on both fronts, whether you're discussing Hardy and Mr. Murray. And the thing about the Cowboys, the NFL is just changing. I mean, you have productive players who are constantly switching teams this off season. I mean, these are players who are proven veterans, but, you know, they're going to new teams. And the thing about what strikes me as kind of, you know, astonishing with the Cowboys is they were only like one play call away from playing into the NFC Championship game.
Right.
So I was just thinking, why wouldn't they just try to stay the course
Right.
and try to, you know, Romo doesn't have that many years left as is. You know, just try to, you know, shore up the defense as you mentioned. But you got to pay Murray because, I mean, he's the one who sets the table for the team. He's the one.
Romo to have the year that he had.
Yes, sir. Exactly, sir. And you had an opportunity where Dez Bryant led the NFL in touchdowns. Romo was, you know, in the MVP discussion, and Murray won the Offensive Player of the Year. And you break that up because you want to follow suit with what's going on and devalue the running back. I don't know. I can't do that. But we'll see. We'll see. Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, I have one other item that I was going to speak of. I found it interesting, and I found it enlightening, the Chris Borland retirement. See, the Chris Borland retirement is a player who's concerned about his health, concerned about the recurring concussions and those kinds of things, and naturally so. But the hidden part of that is this. Chris Borland was a kid from Centerville, I believe, here locally.
Right.
Well-to-do situation, probably. Plenty of support set up. The kind of guy that would have made it as an accountant as well as a middle linebacker.
Right.
A lot of us don't have those options.
Yes, sir.
So we have to continue to play. And
Right.
It's like one guy heard say, I'm going to play till it ain't no fun. Well, it was fun to Chris Borland also. But his life, his who he is, what he's about, is not based on, and it is not dependent upon what he's doing on the football field. And there's a lesson in there for youngsters all over America playing football, involved in athletics. Don't get fooled by the hype. Because football, you got 4 or 5 productive years to make some money, whereas a doctor or a lawyer is making that type of money for 25, 30 years. Man,
yes,
go
sir.
to class, get educated, so when the time comes, when it's your health or getting on that field, you can make a decision, a conscious decision based around your health your well-being and say, look, y'all can have this. I want to play with my kids. Then you making something happen. I'm going to end it on that.
There you go. And you know what? I was going to make a comment, but when you drop those, those jewels on us and give us that good knowledge and that wisdom, you can't, come back with anything. So thank you for calling in. We appreciate your time and thank you for, being honest and being factual and being very enlightening with your, your speak. So we thank you.
Okay. Well, is this a daily? Can I call in daily and can I get a tape of my comments? Because I might be able to sell on eBay or something.
We got you. I'm gonna send you. I got your number. I have an engineer right here, and he's recording the numbers, and I'm gonna send it to you and let you know when you actually come on, give you the time. All right.
Well, do that, and I will encourage anybody and everybody I know to call into your show. It's always good to see brothers trying to do something beyond what we're capable and what we've been doing. So y'all just keep plugging, man. It'll happen for you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Good night.
Have a good one. Caller, you're calling into the Fifth Quarter Show. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, I'm Brandon calling out of Dayton.
Hey, what's going on, Brandon?
Not much, man. Thanks for taking my call.
Nah, man. Thank you for calling us and taking the time to, bless us with your energy. So, Mr. Brandon, sports and entertainment, whatever you want to talk about, what's on your mind, sir?
I was calling in to talk about the boxing match coming up that just got signed. Get y'all's opinions on the what your thoughts are about the money involved with the Mayweather-Pacquiao match.
Yeah, man, the Mayweather and Pacquiao match it's a huge fight. I've been hearing a lot of people say it's 5 years too late, but evidently when you deal with the money and when you hear about the money that's being guaranteed to both fighters, I would say it's perfect timing. I don't know if the fight would have been has so much economic impact 5 years ago, maybe not. I think our economy was more in the tank 5 years ago. It's trying to recover as we sit here today. So it's just a lot of money, man. Ticket prices are, off the chart. Pay-per-view numbers are going to be the highest ever. Just the media and the corporate sponsorship that's pushing this thing is, just taking this to some, astronomical numbers, man. I just think it's going to be a big show. I think everybody wants to be involved. My only thing is, Mr. Brandon, I just hope the fight, actually, backs up the hype. What are your feelings on it?
That's exactly how I feel. When you start talking about the amount of money that they're making, I just question if the actual presentation is going to live up to what it's going to make as far as from a financial standpoint. I think it's good for boxing. It seems like a lot of things here lately coming back to the regular primetime television on the Fridays, Saturdays. I think boxing is doing a lot of good things, but that's my biggest fear, is that this card doesn't live up to the hype, being that it's 5 years later. But I do agree with you that the fight has to take place. In order for both of them to cement their legacy, the fight has to take place. So I'm excited, but I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, man, and rightfully so for being concerned, because, I'm concerned too, because we've been down this road before, where we have great anticipations for a fight. We invest all this money and time talking about it, and it doesn't really, satisfy our appetite. In saying that, you sound like you're a big boxing enthusiast. What do you think some of the keys to winning are for both fighters, or you can pick one fighter?
I can talk both. I mean, I think boxing is a great sport. I've been following boxing as long as I can remember watching sports. I feel like both guys have advantages and disadvantages. I've watched Floyd for, it's pretty much the majority of his career, And the one thing that I think Pacquiao has going in his favor is his activity. But having said that, I've seen other fighters outwork Floyd and still get losses. So I don't necessarily know that Pacquiao outworking him is going to be the recipe for success. Floyd, being Floyd, his style, his reach, his physicality, the way that he's able to have the ring generalship and the counter-punching, obviously, he may get outworked, but pretty much in all his fights, he lands the biggest punches. So, you know, judges seem to award him the round based on the quality versus the quantity. So to be totally honest, in Pacquiao's case, he probably has to have a knockout or knockdown or do something to make Floyd seem like Floyd's not in control. If Floyd is still out there in his shell, landing his counters, picking his spots, dictating where the fight takes place, I think Floyd wins. If Pacquiao can do something different, something that nobody else has done, land something big, make Floyd come out of the shell and fight with a little more desperate, with a little more of a desperate tone to him, perhaps he can be the first guy to figure out the puzzle that is Floyd Mayweather. Outside of that, I think it's another Floyd victory if it goes to the card. So
you just brought up a good point, Brandon. If Pacquiao can do something differently that nobody else has done, maybe he can win the fight. And that, to me, I'm thinking about that, you know, while you speak it, because what if he does something and has Floyd struggle a little bit? And it may be the fact that, you know, Floyd is actually, he may win the fight, you know, tactfully, but he's making Floyd struggle, and Pacquiao is scoring and getting some punches to land. Do you think the fight will be closer, and do you think that the judges would give a decision to Pacquiao because Floyd had to struggle to win the fight or struggle to get through the fight?
Boxing is an interesting animal when you look at the judging. There's certain things that I think certain fighters are expected to do. And if you watch a lot of the people talk about this fight in particular, they bring up Manny Pacquiao and the fact that he hasn't stopped people lately. You look at the Bradley fight, Pacquiao dominated Bradley by so many different people's perspectives, including the media people that were watching and some of the correspondents that were, you know, ringside scorers and all that stuff. He beat Bradley all over the ring. But I think that the perception is if Pacquiao doesn't knock you out, you know, he's losing something. If he can't go in there and finish the fight, it's a loss for him. Floyd Mayweather just has to go in there and not get scathed. He doesn't, they don't expect him to knock guys out. So if he goes in and goes 12 rounds, nobody gets at the end of the fight and says, man, he just went 12 rounds with this guy. People come out of the fight and they say, well, what did that guy do to Mayweather? Did he hurt him? No. Did he land cleaner shots? No. And that seems to be his recipe for success. Don't get outboxed. Don't let the other guy land any major, you know, any clean major punches that either hurt you or put you down. And it seems like Mayweather wins. At this stage of Pacquiao's career, I would assume the power is still there because even with older fighters, they're still powerful. The speed seems to still be there. He seems to still be pretty quick. But the question is, does he have is his mind still in the same spot where he finishes guys off? Freddie Roach has been saying that Pacquiao doesn't like Mayweather. And, you know, that's been some of the problems that he's had with other people. He just genuinely went into the fight, and he didn't have anything against the guy. He didn't think he was a bad guy. You know, he talked highly of all these guys. And people have said that that's why he didn't want to finish him, or he didn't have that same desire to finish. Maybe we see a young, hungry, violent, vicious Manny Pacquiao against Floyd Mayweather. And that's what I say. Do something different. Go in there, get one or two knockdowns. Maybe throw him around the ring. Maybe, you know, even do something dirty just to change the tone to somewhat give you a different viewpoint or give you a different feel for the fight. And that's what I think he has to do, but not just do it for one round. He has to do it consistently throughout the fight.
I think you have definitely touched on some key points and some valid areas that Pacquiao and his team need to take notice on, man, because when you mention that he has to do something differently and he has to do something to catch the judge's eye to maybe make Floyd not, be on his normal blueprint of winning, I think he can maybe, get out of there with the win. Pacquiao can. Anything else you want to talk about, Brandon, before, we retire?
While we're on the boxing, I will say with this new era of boxing that's coming up, I know everybody's focused on Floyd and the Mayweather fight, but there's a lot of young guys coming up in the boxing game, and I think with the right platforms in play, which they have with this primetime boxing, it'll be more in the public eye. And hopefully guys not backing each other or not picking their opponents so that they can pad records. I think boxing could make a comeback here in the next near future, 2 to 3 years. I think you could see some really big-time guys in boxing. So even if Floyd steps away, which 2015 is supposed to be the end, I think boxing could still be around for, some time to come.
Yeah, Brandon, and I know I'm kind of holding you a long time, but you are really,
you're good.
You're blessing us with some good knowledge. Do you think that with boxing, and maybe I'm wrong, and you can let me know if I am, do you think boxing is taking a hit and not as popular as it used to be because we don't have a top flight American heavyweight?
I actually think that boxing did it to itself. I don't think that the face of boxing had to be a heavyweight, and I actually think Floyd has actually helped to kind of debunk the myth that in order for boxing to be big in America, you have to have a heavyweight. If you look at some of the last big names, I mean, you had Roy Jones, not a heavyweight. You had Bernard Hopkins, not a heavyweight. You had Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, the names go on, where people were still making money and making heavyweight money. So, in my opinion, what hurt boxing in America was all the different sanctions, all the different belts, so many different people running around claiming to be champions. So it became hard to really follow. And that's why I say with this new boxing that's coming out on TV that's not necessarily cable, some of the fights are on cable, but some of the fights aren't on cable. It gives you a chance to follow guys. It gives you a chance to stay current on who's doing what. And I think that's really what's going to bring boxing back to the popular level that it was at before. I just think that heavyweights, for some reason, there was a lot more heavyweights in the level of athleticism. A guy that walks around at 6'2", 200, 220, 215. Those guys tend to play other sports.
Yes, sir.
And not be in boxing. Do you understand?
Right.
So
yes, sir.
I think that's what killed the heavyweight. But I don't necessarily believe that in order for America to be big on boxing again, I don't believe it has to be a heavyweight. All
right, Brandon. Hey, once again, I appreciate that response, and you are well versed with your boxing knowledge, so we appreciate that. So thanks for calling in. Do you have anything else for us before we disconnect?
Nothing at all, man. I enjoy listening to y'all, and thanks again for having my call or for taking my call, and I appreciate it. And thank you as well for giving me the input back. I really appreciate it. I think y'all are doing some great things, and I will continue listening in the future.
All right, we appreciate you more, and thank you, Brandon. Have a good one, sir.
You too, man.
Yeah, and today has been a great day for us. We had some excellent callers. We had a lot of calls coming in, and some of the calls we couldn't get to because we had 2 and 3, 4 calls coming in at the same time. So that's something that we need to work on as we improve with the show. Being able to take multiple calls and be able to patch some or put them on hold so we can take all your calls. And we just greatly appreciate the interest that you're showing in the show. and, you know, being able to call in and give us, you know, your feedback and blessing us with your knowledge of, you know, sports and entertainment or wherever it may be. So in closing, you know, we're coming to a close right now. Just like to say, once again, we're going to try to get this show up as soon as possible. So you can, you know, actually, we want you to participate in our, you know, our fifth quarter March Madness pool. Like I said, you know, we have a March Madness bracket up, and we're giving away gift certificates, and we're giving away T-shirts to the higher scoring brackets. So, you know, we want you guys to participate and just, you know, take this March Madness journey with us. Also, we're going on with the new fifth quarter YouTube page. Once again, that's fifth quarter. We're going to have our own YouTube page where all our shows will be up. And, you know, you'll be able to, you know, listen to the shows, you know, while you're, you know, mowing the grass or doing some dishes, working out, whatever it may be, you know. So we're going to have that available for you, you know, and more importantly, you know, you can hear some of the calls, because to me, you know, it's one thing for us to, you know, talk on the show, me and my co-host Wood, you know, but it's another thing when we get those calls and we get to interact with the fans. We believe that's the most important thing, and, you know, we really feel blessed when we can actually, you know, hear from you guys and interact with you guys with, you know, some back and forth sports entertainment talk. We're going to close out right now. Like I said, fifth quarter show, have our own YouTube page. Make sure you check that out. The March Madness bracket, we're going to have the show up, and it needs to be, your bracket needs to be submitted by 12 p.m. tomorrow noon. So make sure you get that done. Just want to thank the fans, thank Wood for calling in, you know, off site. Thank young Chuck. He's always blessing us with his expertise and technical skills and just his knowledge of the game. You guys have a great evening, wherever you may be, great day, whatever it is, and thank you, and we talk to you soon. Out.